In today's episode, titled We Are All Davynn, the crew once again continues its quest for knowledge within and without the city of Greylock, contacting allies and continuing with their studious work in cracking the codes that will hopefully give them the ammunition they need to free Captain Cat and hopefully escape Greylock with their lives, dignity, friends, and ship intact. We hope you enjoy.
We're off to adventure to go roll the dice. Come seize your advantage and you'll roll them twice. Even if we lose our way, we'll make a journey someday. Something awaits you, so wake us away. Who knows what role you'll play? Who knows what role you'll play?
It's everyone's favorite.
We're going.
Going. All right. All right. So, in the previous session, just as a wrap up, you guys spent most of your time at the Autonova Conclave answering questions posed to you by the conclave itself, the gathering of the heads of local churches that are all within the walls of Greylock, ostensibly to gather information on the happenings and potential fallout of what has been referred to as the incident at Carrock Castle, and more specifically, its effect upon Her Grace Nasali. You answered your questions. Notes were taken, information stored for later, and you ended your visit at the conclave by visiting Kat, who doesn't look like she's having the funnest of times currently. Didn't offer up a lot of information, but gave you a couple places to check. And then we left off with you back at the inn, sort of dividing up into squads, each with your own little mission. Now, we did leave off relatively early in the day. You met with the conclave fairly early in the morning, and your visit with Kat was relatively brief. So, excuse me, you do have the majority of this day left to do with your your assignment was to go get Gale, or go find Gale, I should say. Although you know where he is, generally.
Reasonably.
You and Xylund were tasked with finding Gale, who all you know about Gale is that he was kicked out of the church, or at least heavily demoted within the church, and is stationed at his home. I believe Davynn and Lily were going to work on the book. See what secrets they could pry from it. And Kern and Hildreth were going to... What was your assignment?
Hildreth's assignment was to talk to...
Oh, you were going to go visit the church.
Yes. Specifically Umaveris.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Kern would also want to try to get more churches on our side and liking us, probably.
And
plus, we can have the great tension between Kern and Hildreth going on the entire
Wasn't somebody going to also be visiting visiting Kat regularly?
that was
this is still today. Yeah, we
cool.
literally just got kicked out. So if I come back, I'm like, I'm sorry. They're gonna be like, no, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
We also have 2 days before the boat is ready, so we can't leave
you have
within
48 hours.
2 days. Yeah.
You have 48 hours until you have a functioning boat. This is
Somebody
true.
start a countdown clock with a very ominous beep beep every second.
Can we use Skywrite for it? We'll just put a big old 48-hour countdown. in the
Freak out
sky.
the entire city.
Everybody wants to know what happens when it hits 0.
We blow up the city and we leave.
I don't know if we can blow up the city.
No, we can't, and we shouldn't. But we might do it anyway.
Also, when
Alright.
Xylund talked to Solly, didn't she say something about like the city trying to fight back, or like could potentially fight back against Orem?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
No, not like the citizens of the city, but
No,
like
no, yeah. She
Greylock
said
itself.
Orem will never take Greylock. She knows the city far too well.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That just sounds like it solved itself. So I don't think we need to even touch that.
Greylock is a people, not a place.
I mean,
I figure that this is the time that's the opposite.
Yeah, probably.
yeah, like I don't think we really need to worry about Orem. I just personally don't want them to execute Kat on flimsy charges.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, they're going to execute her on actual charges that are actually real, and turns out Kat's the evil mastermind behind it all, and she's been playing us for fools.
If that's the case, we're going back to killing Kat.
Why are we killing Cat? Aww.
We're not killing Cat.
Turn.
If there's one thing that we don't like more
It's
than like our
traitors.
friends getting beat up, it's people that lie to us. Unless it's
Everyone
Stanley.
I was gonna
lies.
say, but you guys love Stanley.
No, we have so many people who have lived and lied to us.
We
Why
don't
start
like-
now?
We don't like people who lie to us maliciously. Like, Stanley
Like
doesn't maliciously
everyone.
lie to us. Stanley lies like he breathes. It's just natural for him. He doesn't have another state. You can't hold that against him. He doesn't know how to tell the truth.
Yeah, that's true. He's not very good at it. All right. So, with assignments in hand, let's go ahead and get rolling.
I
Team
would, hang on.
invasion. Oh, go ahead.
Since we got the rest of the day to kill, and ours is a night mission, I just
Okay.
wanted to make a note that I want to go to the Xana temple.
Yeah, that's fine. That was going to be my question, was
Okay.
if you guys wanted to travel during the day or in the evening, since yours is the only one that might be time sensitive.
I actually, since Davynn and Lily are kind of limited a bit by spell slots, there was something I did want to make since they are doing a night mission. If that's all right, Erie.
Is it a night mission? That was my question?
I thought we were sneaking in at night. That
Okay.
was my impression.
All right.
Lana, was that the plan or what?
Sure. Team Dark Vision, let's go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So in that case, and you do have ample time. Everyone has ample time to work on personal and or collective errands. So yes, Xylund, if you want to go down to, I'll write the name of the temple for you, so I don't have to repeat it. And yeah, then next, if you have anything else you'd like to do besides working on the book, obviously, that is totally up to you.
So I wanted to make kind of like the alchemical version of Red Eye. Basically just like super energizes. Basically my idea is that it would work essentially like Red Eye, where it would just push off like levels of exhaustion. Like if like let's say you don't sleep at night, you normally have a level of exhaustion the next day, but you take this and it would instead push that off to the next day.
Oh,
So hey,
So just a shit ton of caffeine.
Essentially, yeah. If you use it, like obviously, if you abuse it, the exhaustion will only accumulate and then you'll die. But that was kind of like the idea is like it would just push off the exhaustion to the next day, and even if you slept the next night, you would still have that level of exhaustion from the previous time. But it would let you kind of just burn the candle at both ends, kind of thing.
So
yeah,
here's some-
Sin is actually correct. There is an illicit substance, an illicit drug that effectively does that. which is the Brocane drug, which is basically a concentrated haste spell that has severe exhaustion penalties when it wears off. It's also highly addictive.
Is there any way I could try to make something like that without the addiction, just with the exhaustion penalty? I know that would be a lot more difficult, but
Just pack them like a 6-pack of Red Bull.
yeah. I mean, that's what my plan is.
Or, you know, they could nap beforehand.
That's less fun, and then they get to do less things.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll let you roll a knowledge of either nature or arcana to let you know if there's anything with those properties that you might be able to use.
Okay. Nature or arcana. Well, I got a +9 to arcana and a +5 to nature, so I wonder which one I'm rolling.
Well, but it also will change the answer that you get. If you roll arcana, obviously you're going to be looking for chemicals. If you're rolling nature, you're going to be looking for excuse me, something a little more natural to use.
Oh. I mean, it's too late to take it back.
You rolled your arcana. So Brocane would obviously be first on the list as the most obvious choice. It is fairly ubiquitous in most major cities, Loreholt in particular, but definitely in Estersea and Maryford. It would have been there. So other than that, which you're not even sure you would be able to replicate, nothing really comes to mind. Exactly. That's it's big in Maryford for that reason, partially because of the Bardic College and partially because there's an awful lot of bars there, and a lot of people don't feel creative without it, you know.
Which is weird because generally uppers like that are not what you want to take for
No, but you tell that to a coked out bard. I mean, there's no reasoning with them.
You generally don't want to take uppers for creativity. Uppers kill the creativity process. You generally want something more like a alcohol.
Thank you next for your advice on which drugs to take when doing art.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of these are
advice.
legal. Like alcohol is a downer that boosts the creative process if taken in minor quantities.
For starters, that's true because the best fanfics I've ever written are after 4 glasses of whiskey.
Thank you, Twinki.
But with the current medication I'm on, I'm not allowed to have alcohol. Do you have any other alternatives for me?
No, not on YouTube. We don't. We sure don't. We sure don't.
We'll talk
And we lost our sponsorship again.
Okay, so moral of the story is
we're never gonna get a sponsorship. Damn it!
the moral of the story is drugs are bad. Stay away from them.
Drugs are bad. Okay.
Drink alcohol and smoke weed.
Alcohol's a drug. Sugar. So caffeine.
Wow, I
Those
didn't
are
say
a lot
that
of
last
things we
part,
can do
but
on a daily
okay.
basis.
No.
Anyways, so
moving along.
Basically, I got
Moving.
nothing.
You have general knowledge of stimulants that would have the desired effect, but you're not sure how you would go about making them safely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair.
You could probably make Brocane with the proper ingredients, but you wouldn't have the knowledge, the general knowledge, to remove the negative side effects.
Okay.
All right. So you guys are doing your thing. Xylund, you wanted to go to Icladonna Hall.
Yeah, Icladonna, you said?
Yeah. I typed it in the chat.
I wrote it down. I was just
Okay.
making sure the pronunciation was.
Yeah, Icladonna Hall is the seat of the Church of Xana. Where you have been invited. If you'd like to pop over there.
Yep.
Okay.
I would like to pop over there.
Okay. Icladonna Hall is one of the older buildings in the old section of Greylock, which makes it pretty damned old. And it shows. It's done in a slightly different style. It's all Geschel stone, of course, as is most of the architecture in the old part of Greylock. But it's got more of the sort of we would associate it with Greco-Roman architecture, but it's got the pillared and open architecture of a lot of the older buildings in Greylock. Obviously built when magic was still very, very strong in the region. The architecture is almost free-floating in some places, but it is fairly large. It's got a bunch of people. There's a small marketplace in front of it, and also sort of receding underneath the opening columns. A lot of people like to come here and set up small stalls. Most of the crafts that are sold here are handmade. You're not going to find a lot of like fruit and veg and stuff like that. It's mostly up and coming artisans or folks who build trinkets, whether for decorative or for basic household kind of use. It's sort of like a giant flea market. Yeah, it's Etsy Hall basically. Yeah, it's folks that are on the craftier side. And they don't make just basic items. They usually have some sort of flair to them. And most of them, it's actually the largest concentration of gnomes that you see. And that tends to be true in Greylock. Gnomes are not super numerous here, but the ones that do live here tend to congregate in and around Ygladana Hall. They live for the most part in the poorer sections of the city, but on most days of the week, you'll find them in and around Ygladana Hall. And there are places that sort of serve as a refuge for any incoming gnomes. There's the butterfly motif very strongly everywhere, carved into the pillars, and you can see it in the wrought iron that spans between them. Most of the newer editions, the metal editions, are handmade by members of the clergy here. The only downside is it's kind of difficult to tell the difference between who's a shopper, who's a merchant, and who's a cleric because they wear very basic clothing. The biggest tip-off is the color scheme. Most of the merchants dress in sort of muted colors. Obviously, shoppers tend to be from the poorer sections of the city, so they wear slightly shabbier clothes. And the clerics are in the blue and white colors of clerics of Xana. But other than that, they are very difficult to tell apart. They all wear tool belts. They freely mingle with one another. It doesn't have the hierarchical feel that you would expect from Grenin or Rildis or even Sindalay, really. So you get kind of some odd looks as you approach Ygladana, being human and somewhat tall and wearing a dragon skull on your face. So
Yeah.
but you're not accosted anyway. As far as you can tell, there is no military presence. Most churches have some form of church guard, Templars or Paladins or something along those lines that are generally prominent. You don't see any here. So if there is any kind of military force or security force, you don't see them. They're not obvious.
Well, I'll just look for someone who looks like they're associated with the church and tell them I was invited by Overseer Lucal Shadowhand.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you can locate a church member fairly easily, even though as soon as you announce to the cleric that you're here to see the overseer, like 4 other people all pipe up saying where he's been. So they're apparently, whether they're part of the church or not, are more than happy to give you an idea of where he is. He's taking his lunch in his private quarters, apparently. Eric can take you in that direction.
That
If you
would
want.
be appreciated.
He sort of nods and leads you back through the columns. And instead of taking you into a suite of rooms or whatever, there's just this big circular table that looks older than the rest of Greylock put together, just sort of set off in one corner before the building actually encloses and becomes a building going inside. So it's still in the open air section. This massive table, big enough to seat probably 10 people or 15 gnomes, depending on your size here.
What's that? I'll ask the guy.
Oh, that's his private quarters. And
The
yeah,
table is?
there is. Yeah, sitting on the other side is the
Okay.
overseer, eating his lunch, just chowing down. you know, like you do. His cloak is set up on the table next to him. And he's just having lunch. There's nobody else there, although the table is set as if more people could sit and eat on the little stools. But it is gnome, like all the stools are gnome sized. But he's just having a chat, you know. He sees the cleric and you from a ways off, because you do tend to catch the light. And he raises a hand, still chewing away on a sausage. Sort of like gives you a gesture, like, you know, go over, it's okay. He doesn't say anything. He just like he thinks you're weird for standing there.
All right, I'll go over.
Okay. So approaching the table, the overseer waves his fork at you and points down to one of the stools. Oh, you took me up pretty quickly.
Sit on the stool.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I knew you were coming so quickly, I would have gotten you a bigger seat.
Well, I've got a project I'm working on, and I was wondering if maybe we could help each other out. Do you have a workshop by any chance that I could maybe avail myself of?
Sort of snorts, chewing on a sausage. I've got more workshops than I'll never mind. I was going to make a rude comment about Cinderlight, but yes, workshops we have. Plenty of workshops. I'd be more than happy to lend you one. But a trade is a trade, and I would love to see your helmet.
Yeah,
it's absolutely fascinating. I don't have much time. I got to get back to whatever we're doing at the conclave, which is admittedly far less fascinating than what's on your head. But can I see it?
Yeah, I mean, you can keep it for a day. I'm not going to need it in the immediate future. That was going to be my suggestion. If I can use your workshop, you can just hang on to my helmet for a day, you know, look over it. Again, it's all, you know, intellectual property of me, but yeah, go nuts.
He waves his fork at you again. I understand. We understand. He puts a fork down and reaches out to take the dragon helm. And starts to spin it in his hands a little bit. This is interesting. This is very interesting. And he sets it down on the table on the other side next to him. And calls down the long colonnade. Hey! Somebody get this man a room. And you hear this little chorus. Not a particular speaker, but you hear 3 or 4 voices going, yep, right on it. You don't know who said it. It could be anybody from the crowd. He nods back at you, picks up his fork, and starts chewing again with one hand while looking at the helm with the other, like poking at the visor and flipping it upside down.
Also, do you think I could borrow a set of goggles just for the night, basically?
Goggles?
Well, that helmet, one of its features is it lets me see in the dark. And I've gotten kind of used to it. I just...
sensitive eyes.
I can enchant some goggles,
Okay.
and yeah.
Oh, that's understandable. We run into that with the folks who come back from the mines. Takes them a while to get adjusted. You'll get it. Yeah. We might have to add a little bit to the backing for you, but sure. No problem.
The back?
They're not made for you, but we can add those to the strap.
Right,
It'll be fine.
All right. Well, I can do that. I got tools. Show them my tools.
Oh my. So he does. He kind of and he does. Like he praises your toolkit and where did you come from? This is some pretty interesting work.
Is he looking at the helm or the tools?
Both.
Oh. I get around.
Clearly. I mean, we've heard the stories. We've all heard the stories. Clears his throat a little bit. Not that I believe such things, mind you. But...
Uh-oh.
Erie died. No.
She did. Oh, hey, there we go.
Somebody died?
You did.
Yeah.
Oh no!
You're back.
Why did I die?
The DM
I don't
is the
know,
last
but
person
while you
anyone
were
expects to die.
while you were gone, we broke Cat out of prison.
Did you? Okay.
Miss Ollie is now okay, and yeah, Orem just got their butts kicked. Yeah, it was great. Yeah,
It was
it's great. You
great.
missed it.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it. That would have been glorious. I
Davin
would have
was
loved to
so
see.
many Davin was so many Tyrannosauruses.
It was kind of anticlimactic, honestly, given that it all happened in the span of like a second, but that's okay.
Aw. All right. So yeah, doesn't believe the stories, but where did you learn to do all this?
Oh well, it's amazing what you can just sort of teach yourself if you have the will to learn.
Kind of nods slowly, chewing the last of the sausage. Suppose so. Well, and he taps a fork against your shoulder. If you ever want to change teams, not that I would ever suggest that you forswear an oath to a deity that you're clearly very devoted to, but if you ever felt like it,
Well, just
you
between
could
you
always
and
use more
me,
hands around here.
this is a nice place you got here, and I mean, we'll see how this all plays out, but I sort of shrug and say, granted,
He kind of laughs. He sets his fork down. He goes, well, our mistress is a bringer of chains, a breaker of shackles, a forgers of lives anew. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to accept you in your new paths upon this life.
You don't really have any military arm, though, do you? Of your church?
Oh, well, we can defend ourselves. We don't have... Well, not in the manner that I think you're talking about. Those that are martially trained, and they take pride in it. We have very skilled weaponsmiths and armorsmiths. Keep us safe. We protect those that need it, who aren't able to fight for themselves. Mostly, though, we try to just are beautiful and efficient. Why did you want to join the army?
No, I'm just, I like to keep my options open, I guess. For now, I just want to use your workshop.
Well, of course you do. Who wouldn't? And so he snaps his fingers again. He gives a little whistle, and 3 gnomes come rushing from the throng at the other end of the colonnade. One of them is clearly a cleric in the in Xana colors, with the butterfly stitched into the trim of his tunic, and the other 2 just appear to be dudes. They have tool belts on, but whether they're merchants or members of the church, you don't really know. But they all 3 run up, and the one in cleric robe says, "If you're ready, Master Xylund, I'm sure we've got a spare room."
Yep, that'd be much appreciated.
So Shadowhand gives you a smile, and the cleric and the other 2 lead you just off to the side of him to where the doors actually go into the building. The building itself is a little closer and darker than you would have imagined from how highly decorative and very open air the colonnade was. But it is a little reminiscent of the old style of buildings too. It's still got the columns. It just doesn't have quite as many windows. And the gnomes seem to be hesitant to make much in the way of alterations in here. You don't see the added metalwork or carvings or anything like that. Most of what's in here has been kept original. So because there is a lack of windows or much ventilation in this main part, it seems to be mostly storage, and there's that distinct smell of kilns and cooking pottery and the burn of like singed metal. Something you're very familiar with in the air, just sort of hangs up above in the chandeliers. A little fug that never quite leaves. But the cleric leads you off to one side. into another set of double doors. And this area here is all workshops. The first room you go into is just one big open air room that's been sort of cubicled off into workshops. And then there are other ones that are behind doors. And he takes you all the way to the back, and he opens up one of them that's been shut off with a door. He says, "This can be yours now. We've been holding it for a little while, just in case, guest artists, stuff like that. But you can use it for as long as you like."
Really? Like, I can come back and use it?
Sure. Until somebody else shows up.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. First, okay, yeah, okay. I just got a little paranoid there. It seemed like you were expecting me or something.
No, we're all free to come and go.
Okay.
But the guests of the overseer and all that, you can set up shop here, and not actual shop. Shops are actually outside, but you can set up your stuff here. And if you need any sort of supplies or whatever, there's the bazaar outside, or just ask anyone, really. We're all crafters here. We all take care of each other.
Huh. Well, this is a different vibe from the Conclave, that's for sure.
Oh, we aren't the Conclave. That's true. But your
Alright.
water is, he points to the well. Your water's out there. Coal's over there, and points to a bin on the other side of the room. If you need tinder, just ask around. My name's Braniff. We just holler if you need anything.
Is that Braniff or Braniff?
Braniff, I will rate it
With an F?
with 2 Fs.
Ooh.
Your fancy.
All right. Well, nice to meet you, Braniff, and I'll just keep to myself in here for a little bit.
Okay.
Gotta focus. I gotta finish up this thing.
Okay. He'll leave you to your own devices.
And I'll work on my armor.
Okay. So you're gonna work on your armor for the afternoon, which is good because you might need it.
Yep.
Yeah. So you are left alone in your little workshop, which is decent size, even for gnome standards. It is decent size. It's about the size of Sia's workshop, if not a little larger. So you have plenty of room to work and do your thing. So we'll let Xylund do his thing, unless there's anything else you needed to do.
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
That's
all right. So we'll leave Xylund to work on his armor. Who would like to go next? Looks like we're dividing up some plunder.
Well, I want to do a bit of window shopping first.
Lily
Just
wants
to
to go
see how much I
shopping.
need from party funds. But
Okay.
if either Kern or Davynn want to come with for safety's sake, Lily's a big believer in battle buddies and when Orm's around.
Sure, I'll come with. I guess I wanted to ask you a few questions. I think you know some things more than I would.
Of course. Anything I can do to help. If you don't mind, since we are kind of on a time crunch, if we could walk and talk a bit.
Sure.
I need to
Yeah.
find a bookstore and someone selling magnifying glasses. I think jewelers would probably be a good place for that, maybe?
Oh, is this for the thing that we're working on?
I think it would help, especially if we could. Especially once you run out of spell slots, obviously it's going to be a bit tricky to continue. I think if we can get a magnifying glass, we can alleviate that some.
Yeah, that's fair. Or at least it will be easier once I have this all working. So a question for Erie.
Mm-hmm.
Given that Davynn has been growing up with a fear of what will happen to him if people find out he's magic,
Mm-hmm.
what does he know of what happens to people in Greylark who get found out?
He was always told, because again, you did grow up literally in the shadow of Fort of Rildas. So not only were you taught that mages could be dangerous and that you should always be on the lookout for them because you never know what they look like, but you were taught that being a mage is illegal in Greylock and you could be thrown in jail for a very long time.
Yeah.
Now that might be the sanitized version of what you got, because again, you are in a fairly rural area. But as far as you were never told, like there were public executions. You were never told that Greylock kills its mages. The most you were ever told is that it was illegal, and you know mages were imprisoned for their own good.
So I'll basically start discussing that with Lily, and then finish off by saying, and I'm realizing that there are kind of holes in that story. Like, what happens to them eventually? You're not just going to keep them locked up forever, I hope.
So,
do you know anything?
I have a +9 in history. Would that help at all with this series?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can roll it if you'd like to see. Yeah, historically, mages became the scapegoat after the Sunder. Mages as a broad group, Amaskins also fall into that category. Because prior to the Sunder, magic was very prevalent, wizards were very prevalent and in high society positions. A lot of cities depended on them almost exclusively. Iyith is a great example. Iyith is a desert trade city. It's one of the 12 great cities, which were all connected by massive teleportation circles that were created and maintained by mages. Iyith also relied on mages and some druids for their food and water supply. And it's what allowed them to be so prosperous. Well, after the Sunder, magic started to falter in a big big way. Not only were there, physical upheavals to the world, but that's when the wild magic zone started to pop up. That's when the glamour became more of a problem. That's when the teleportation circles failed and cities got cut off from one another. That's when the Amaskin capital, the Amaskin city, separated from the continent and started to float above Balwall. Which coincidentally spared them from a lot of these issues. But places like Iyith got hit super bad. They weren't able to transport in any food. They weren't able to trade as extensively as they used to. And it led to decades of really bloody civil war over resources. Their population was decimated in the aftermath. So while every place deals with mages differently, there is still a widespread sort of animosity. Now, Greylock, under Nasali's rule, has been very tempered.
Relatively speaking.
When it comes to mages. Yeah. Obviously, Orem would be the other extreme. Orem actively hunts mages. Actively. Finds them, captures them, and burns them without remorse or discussion. They do imprison them. They experiment upon them. They're particularly cruel. Greylock, on the other hand, Nasali obviously Nasali is a chosen of Nenameth, who is the goddess of magic, so she obviously has a very different perspective on magic. But she's never bulked the churches, but as far as you know, Nasali has never allowed a magic user to die. There have been no executions under Nasali that you are aware of. So they're not public. But she also doesn't interfere with the churches. So if Rillis wants to capture a mage and imprison them and attempt to re-educate them in some way, Nasali, if she knows about it, might attempt to intervene, but it's also possible that she wouldn't know.
Okay.
So if you're going to be a magic user, Greylock, well, if you're going to be a magic user, Lorehold is probably the best place for you on this continent.
If you're going to be a magic user, don't be a magic user. That's what I just got from that.
If you're going to be a magic user, don't be an open magic user. Abris is the only great city that openly welcomes mages. Mm-hmm. It's run by mages. And it's where a lot of them live. But it's also extremely... Yeah, it's trapped behind Orem. It's trapped behind Orem. It's very physically isolated. It's surrounded by mountains. A lot of the city got cut off physically from the rest of the world. And yeah, it's the only part of that continent that is not under Orem's direct control. So it's in a precarious position. But it is a safe place for mages. Maryford is obviously a safe place for magic users because of the Bardic College. It also has a Nemetal living there, which tends to temper things quite a bit. So yeah, in general, Greylock is tolerant as opposed to a place like Orem, but it's still not entirely safe. There is still that paranoia that runs through here. Nasali helps to change perspectives a little bit. You don't find the really inherent bigotry in Greylock that you would find out in more rural areas or in other continents. So you're fairly safe here, but you still don't want to be casting Fireball in the middle of the street. If you prove yourself to be a nuisance or if you prove yourself to be a danger by using magic, Nasali won't save you.
Yeah.
Like
Yourself.
Yeah, but you also won't be hauled off in the middle of the night because somebody thinks that you might be a secret mage, as you would be in, say, Orem.
At least as far as Nisali knows.
Well, as far as there's no history of that. There's no indication that happens. So
Like,
yeah,
it's not like the McCarthyism Red Scare, but if you
no,
openly out yourself as a mage, you could.
It does not help you.
Yeah.
If you start casting, like I said, if you start casting fireballs in Times Square, not only will obviously you be considered a public nuisance and a public danger, but the fact that you did so using magic is going to, for lack of a better term, ignite that bigotry against you, as opposed to if you had done it with a sword.
Yeah.
A danger is a danger, but a dangerous mage is a lot scarier than just a dangerous warrior.
Yeah. So Lily's basically going to sum all that up and just kind of finish with. So while there's no public executions, Nisali wouldn't allow it. It's not to say people don't disappear once they are imprisoned, especially if she doesn't catch wind of it in time.
So really, losing Nisali would be like a big setback, ultimately. Which I think everybody's on board with not losing Nisali.
I think it wouldn't help matters at all. Granted, right now she doesn't really interfere with the church, but there's not an outright witch hunt going on under her. I don't know if that would change if somebody else was in charge. I think it would largely depend on who was in charge.
I mean, you heard how the Redelian Church was like calling for a mage hunt after we did that whole thing in the theater, which, by the way, was super metal. And if they're fairly powerful here, and the Temple of Granite doesn't seem to care about them that much. Temple of Derelai has a vested interest in silencing mages because then they get to take over Nenemeth. I think she needs to stick around if things are going to get better here.
I don't disagree. However, I also don't know enough about the situation to know for sure. I think we definitely have some sympathizers on the Conclave. Maybe if one of the more moderate churches were in charge, things would stay the same. I think progress to be made for mages, Nisali would have to stay in charge, but at the same time, you have to consider Greylock isn't a city of mages. Sure, there might be one or two hidden here and there that would definitely benefit from said progress, but I mean, they have to also think about what's best for Greylock as a whole.
Well, how many mages do you think are hidden in Greylock?
It's hard to say. I think. I mean, there are a lot of. I mean, there are bards here, and they get basically an acknowledgement saying that as long as they as long as they don't cross the line, they're fine. But as for actual mages, I think all the smart ones are staying hidden. I don't think it's going to be a significant portion of the population.
I don't think you would be able to tell until it's okay not to be hidden.
That's very true. Now, granted, I am all for freedom for everybody to practice whatever they wish so long as it doesn't harm others. And I think Nisali is the best bet for that. But I don't think that that's going to be something that the Conclave considers when they're trying to determine whether or not Nisali should stay in charge or somebody else should take over.
Yeah, I mean, Orem is the real confounding factor because a lot of people can hide behind, we're trying to stop Orem when they're trying to push for their own agendas as well.
I think Orem taking over would be worst case scenario.
Absolutely, but I'm just saying that them being around makes it so that if they're trying to do something else, that they can hide behind saying it's about Orem.
Absolutely. The only problem is we don't know. We don't have near enough information on the situation. We don't know what politics are taking place behind the scenes, the motivations of the major players. We have ideas, we have thoughts, we have what the situation looks like, but without more knowledge, it's hard to say what the situation actually is. Best we can do is find out what we can and react as best we can to that.
I don't know, your sister seems pretty okay with taking action based on how things look.
Lanathea has always been aggressive and foolhardy.
Yeah, she is.
Wow.
She charges in with nary a thought, and sometimes it's better to do so. Sometimes taking your time, getting as much information as possible will only cause you to lose whatever opportunities may exist. Other times, charging in without any idea of what's going on will only make things worse. And the trick is figuring out which situation is which.
You know what information I think we could use is what Orem's plans are, or what their game plan is. Like, what are the conditions at which they think they'll be able to attack or do anything?
Well, that would definitely be useful, and I think some of that might be hidden within this book. I think the information I'm really looking for in this book that we have is the motivations and actions and backdoor politics of the major players here in Greylock. The Conclave is definitely what we should be focusing on at the moment. Why are they doing what they do? Who stands to benefit from what actions? What's their end goal? Are they truly as benevolent as they are presenting themselves as? Who do we have a chance of persuading? Things like that, I think, are going to make a very large difference.
I think you've got a bigger stomach for politics than I do.
Or
maybe just books in general.
I hate politics, honestly. It's a dark and dismal world where you can't really trust anyone. But I do believe that information and knowledge is more powerful than anything else. If you have enough and you have the right information, well, you can control a city or a country or a continent.
All right, I know what you mean, but I just had the image of somebody smacking somebody with a book and saying information is power. And I think that should be our fallback plan.
Smacking someone with books?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's a bit abusive to books, but I can get behind that. But I think the more information we have, the better. And I think that's the reason why I'm focusing so much on deciphering this book, is to see if there's anything in there that's useful to the current situation.
Fair enough. So we need a magnifying glass, you said?
A magnifying glass. There's a couple of books I want to get, but those are more for personal research and not really anything to do with the current situation.
I also have a feeling that somebody will want us to pick up some drugs along the way. Just an itch in the back of my head.
Honestly, I kind of want to experiment with some of those. See if there's...
Oh, Lily, you want to experiment with drugs?
Not partaking.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to be, that was going to be way more exciting than that.
I mean, I want to use them to make varying different potions and obviously consumption and testing is going to be part of that, but I don't want to experiment with them in their current state. Most of them have horrible side effects.
I think blood moss is pretty okay. I've had that a couple times. It's like not bad.
Well, I did say most, and who's to say? But anyways, shall we? Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Well, see, here's the thing. I think that I want to help kind of fix the situation with magic right now. And so, like, first step for that is getting Isali back if we can. And beyond that, I kind of feel like ultimately what needs to happen is that people need to stop being as afraid of it. And they need to become more used to it.
The thing is, Davin, and I think that's an admirable goal, and I think it's definitely accomplishable. It's just the method we use to go about that is it has to be the right one. Shoving it in people's faces is only going to make them more afraid. Becoming inured to it, used to it, I think would definitely help, but I think education is a large part of it. Magic is dangerous and it is very scary in the wrong hands, and sometimes even in the right hands. But education and understanding that there are benefits that can be.
I got to point out that we are an example of the benefits. So if we shove that in people's faces, that's what I'm thinking is the best way.
Less shoving it in people's faces and more as we go and do the things we do. Things like saving Karak and Greylock from Timlakos.
They
It's
will.
not shoving in people's faces, but it is an acknowledgement. We used magic to succeed in this task, and therefore it has benefit. If we can use it to solve large problems that aren't in cataclysms, solving issues with food, with clean water, with disease.
I mean, Lily, you saw what happened when Stanley wrote our play. He basically wrote our magicness out.
Yes, but again, that's not shoving it in people's faces. It's more subtle than that. It's couching it in terms of a story, of a play.
I'm not gonna be written out of a story. That's not shoving it out into people's faces. That's erasing it.
Oh, then how do you explain my character was very much a spellcaster in that play. I used material components for everything, Davin, so that's the reason why that stuff was in the bag. Also, magical effects are difficult.
Yeah, I guess, but like it would be cooler if we could just use magical effects.
It would be. And I think that's definitely something that could help your cause is if, for instance, bards and other arcane users could put together these plays and make some astounding special effects within reason, safety guidelines, of course. But I think that would go a large way to demonstrating the wonders that can be brought about with magic rather than just what's so scary and terrifying about it.
I mean, we did have a pretty sweet special effect where we jumped onto the stage and I flew off on a Pegasus.
And I think that was fairly well received.
So there you go. Not shoving it in people's faces.
Well, I think
Or shoving it in people's faces in a cool way.
that definitely helps. Yes. At the end of the day, we just have to be careful about how it's presented. We don't want to play on people's fears, and we don't want to ramp up the paranoia. Making it an everyday occurrence and education, I think, are the two best bets. Miss Ollie would definitely help with that. Slowly changing people's minds. The Sundering, from what history tells us, was very, very bad, and it'll take a lot to shift people's attitudes away from that, especially with voices like the Church of Rildis and Aurum and others yelling extremely loudly about the dangers of magic. I mean, remember what you were like when we first met?
Yeah. And really, honestly, what I could have used is more people telling me loudly that magic is okay. I think what we need is people like you to do the education, and then I guess people like me and Lana to make sure that it can't be written over and yelled over.
I think you might be right. I like to think that our conversations helped you a bit in coming to terms with your own nature. I think that it's really just a matter of how it's used, who's using it, and also understanding that as powerful and dangerous as it is, it's not all powerful. Um, Perhaps having something of a watcher organization that looks for malign uses and polices itself would be helpful as well to put the people's minds at rest.
Ooh, like witch cops?
Yes, precisely.
Witch cops, we're starting that now.
uh, but arcane users policing themselves and policing those who abuse their gifts, I think, would go a long way in uh, setting people's minds at ease. If an outside force like clerics and paladins were to do the policing, then obviously it's us versus them. But if there was an organization that made up of arcane users that policed others, I think it'd be a bit easier to stomach.
Quick question with regards to the chat. Yuri says that they have one. They're called Pyre Knights.
Yeah, that was a
I
joke.
don't think that's what we're talking about.
No, is that not what you're? Are you sure that's not what you're talking about?
All right.
I'm pretty sure that's like the opposite of what we're trying to do here.
Oh, all right.
Well, for the rest of this shopping trip, I think Davynn will be trying to workshop the idea of witch cops into a serial novel with Lily.
Lily will definitely get in on writing that. She loves writing fiction, particularly. Well, that's not important.
There will be shipping involved. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah, plenty of shipping.
Lily loves writing ships. That's her thing. She loves writing ships. That's how she relaxes. So I'm looking for a bookshop, not like a fiction bookshop, like where you'd find Stanley stuff, but more like
A bookbinder's shop.
yeah, something that has like technical information, trade information, stuff like that. What I'm looking for 2 books in particular. One, a reaction book, something that would have basically, because I'm hoping that there have been other alchemists and other people, who have already done all the research on what happens when you mix this with that, and I can find one of those. And then
Okay.
also a general flora book, like these are the various plants you can find in these areas, and these are some of their known effects, kind of thing. Because obviously, Lily's mostly self-taught on this whole alchemy thing, so having more research material would definitely help when it comes to gathering and crafting new stuff. And then the other thing is, I don't know exactly where she would find a magnifying glass. Maybe a glass blower shop, maybe a jeweler's shop. I don't know if they'd want to sell them because that's their tools, but that's also what she's looking for, is a decent quality magnifying glass.
Okay. Well, the books are slim in pickings and fairly expensive. You can find them at booksellers. Go ahead and roll an investigation. just to
Hey,
see.
I get to use another +9 skill.
So yeah, you're able to track down some let's say nature identification with an alchemical bent to them. They're not they're not easy to find, and they're certainly not cheap because they're not considered, everyday fare. Most books like that would be kept in libraries or private collections, but there are some that are available. You can definitely get a book on basic reagents. You can definitely get a book on alchemical treatments. You can find 3 books in total that will give you the source material effectively for what it is that you're looking for. But you're talking about 5 gold for all 3.
5 gold. Okay. Would it be possible to put down like how much would it be for the magnifying glass?
A magnifying glass you would have to get at a glass cutters, and that's going to be 150 gold.
Boy. Okay, for the books, would it be possible to put down like a down payment to reserve it kind of thing? Like, hey, if I give you partial payment, can you reserve these for me kind of thing?
They will hold it, but they won't. Yeah, they'll hold them in the shop. Like, you wouldn't be able to walk out with it, but they will reserve them for you because you're you, basically.
Okay. Evan, do you have 3 gold?
Yes, I do have 3 gold. That's like 30% of my gold, but yes.
Could I borrow it and then get Kern to pay you back later?
Go for it. Yep, that's fine.
I'll put 5 gold down for all 3 books.
Okay. All right.
I'm assuming we've already determined that that the magnifying glass is probably not on the list of things to buy today.
Also, I want to run this past you. So, Detective Diviner takes on Prestidigitation as his like apprentice, and so they have a buddy cop relationship where Detective Diviner is the old school cop, and Prestidigitation is the guy who's a loose cannon. But they also kind of fall in love during the process.
Well, we would have to have sufficient buildup of that. Obviously, they're going to butt heads in the beginning, but I can see a way forward for that.
Oh, you're just saying that because you had a thing for Voodoo Sue and Prestidigitation. You thought that they were better together first.
Well, of course. I mean, the sort of independent actor, kind of anti-hero, would definitely appeal to Prestidigitation, who finds the rules constrictive and restraining in the pursuit of justice, but I think in the end, Detective Diviner would demonstrate why those rules and regulations are in place.
Okay, so you're on board with Detective Diviner then, and then Voodoo Sue is just like a fling.
With recurring reappearances and drama involved, I think we could keep this love triangle going for a while.
All right, sweet. Also, I think we could probably ask Kern for 150 gold. It's for an important cause.
Well, we can go and talk to him, see how he feels about it. And it's not like that's the only use this magnifying glass would ever get. I would find it extremely useful in my personal research as well.
Okay. All right. So we will leave this particular conversation because it's giving me a headache. And we will conclude the shopping portion so far of today's adventure. And switch to somebody else.
Anybody else, please?
Anybody else. Twinki, are you here?
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and pick up your visit. You said you wanted to go talk to the Keller Ellenball folks.
Yes.
Okay. Were you bringing Kern with you, or were you going to go alone?
Yeah, Hildreth was planning on going alone.
Okay.
I don't think he'd be able to convince Kern, even if he wanted to bring Kern along.
Okay. So you would like to go to? I will type this name in. It is Faye. Faye Valor is the name of the temple, which is also in the center of the city, as most of these temples are, but the faithful have done their best to try to make it look as elvish as possible, which is fairly difficult because the architecture of Greylock is not elvish in any way, shape, or form. It's made of the same Geschel stone as everything else. They have very carefully tried to train their foliage to grow over the columns and colonnades that give it that Greylock look, but there's quite a bit of trees and bushes and flowers, and both in pots and tried to coax to grow freely, that cover the edifice of the building before you go inside. They also have neglected to really do much renovation. This is a much closer, kind of like with Xana's Temple. There's a lot more doors, and the rooms are much smaller than you would expect from an Elvish temple, having been in at least one, I'm sure. But they've done the best they can, trying to increase the light with applied sunlight spells in order to give it the effect almost of a druid's grove inside, although an artificial one. It is incredibly quiet inside the building. You can hear there's water somewhere in the background. There's the occasional murmured tones of people whispering, and when these folks walk, they don't make any noise as they go through the building. They wear green, which sort of blends them into the background a little bit as they go through from shadow to shadow. It is a very peaceful, quiet, contemplative place.
Hildreth sounds like he likes that.
Yeah, it is very close to home. Like it very much affects that deep woods to the best of its ability.
Well, I guess Hildreth will go up to the first. Would it be priest or monk or druid or? I don't even know what they're called.
They're called clerics. Druids are specifically different because druids have the added sort of role of being judges and arbiters, and clerics are not in general. So yeah, they would be considered clerics, but in terms of the way they function, they would remind you more of druids. Their dress and their manner of speech and everything really does remind you of a grove, but they would specifically be clerics.
No, Hildreth will enter and just, look around and take the place in, and if no one comes up to him, he'll go up to a cleric.
Okay. They're almost all elves, so they again don't speak very loudly, but one will greet you as you approach, beginning in Elvish and then correcting themselves midway through to finish in Common. How can they assist you this day?
I'm here looking for the Sage Umaveris. By appointment.
Appointment? Oh. She seems a little befuddled by that. She just arrived. Could you wait for but a moment?
Of course.
So she kind of leaves you to stand in this little makeshift grove.
Oh, he'll totally check it out and dig the hell out of that. That's
yeah. It's very similar to home. They've got not just plants, but you also hear bird song, and you can see the evidence of birds and butterflies and other insects that they have brought into this open air sort of nave of their church. You don't see any doorways that lead out, but clearly there have to be some. They're most likely either hidden by shadow or overgrown by trees. And eventually she does, on silent feet, on cat's feet, approach and hunt you down in the room.
What is she doing with Cat's feet? Oh no! They've already started dismembering her team. We have to rescue her now.
They're taking her apart bit by bit. Rawr.
Time for treason.
No, burn it all down. She does approach and nods and says she will see you briefly. She has to return to other duties, but she was pleased that you decided to visit. If you'll follow me, I'll take you to her.
Of course.
And she does. She leads you to a shadowed spot towards the back of the room, which is actually a hallway. The doors are intact, but they have been opened and pinned back by vine creep so that they can't ever really shut without destroying the plant life. And again, even in here, while you can see the Geshl stone underneath, most of it has been traced by vines. And these are old plants. These are ancient vines. They've clearly been here for a long time. There's the light crunch of leaves as they fall to the floor and you walk across them. But she leads you down into sort of a solarium type of room. Again, there aren't any windows because of Greylock architecture, but they have made the effect with mirrors and what you would identify as a daylight orb, similar to Davynn's Sparky, in order to affect a noontime, like a high sun setting. And in this room, it's not so much an office as it is a parlor, and it too, like the entire floor is just carpeted with what you assume to be either grass or very soft moss. The actual tables and chairs are stone rather than wood and seem to be original to the building. And sitting at one, it's only got 4 seats to it, but sitting at one in the east compass position is the head, the sage of Keller Ellenball, seated very primly. She too has a plate of food in front of her. She's had a glass of wine poured across, and she smiles and points to the chair, inviting you to sit as your guide whispers her way out of the room, leaving you to enjoy a tea moment with the sage of Keller Ellenball.
This is quite the temple you have.
She nods. It has been our pride and privilege to maintain it all these years. I am glad you managed to come. I only have a short time before I have to return to the conclave, but still, it pleases me to see you again.
It was good to be invited.
We don't often see individuals such as yourself. I'm not just the Dragonborn, but you seem different. In the light of the conclave, you seem very different.
I have had some strange experiences in my life, but that is not what we're here to talk about. I understand you wish to pick my brain about certain topics, and I am more than happy to give you the information you require as long as it's reasonable.
Fair enough. I'll keep it brief for both our sakes, but you are, of course, welcome to return. You seem at ease here, which is always a pleasant experience to be a part of.
It's not often I find places that remind me of home.
That is very true.
It's cleaner and less swampy, but it's the natural feel of it.
You come from swamps, then?
It's currently where I reside. My original home was a tiny shack in the forest far away from any proper civilization. There was a town that was close by, but it was not a place I enjoyed spending my time.
I understand completely. I grew up on the southern continent, outside of Ilaria. I didn't spend much time there, and I don't generally enjoy spending much time here, but we must follow the path that we're placed upon, I suppose.
Mhm.
Have you
Might
been?
it be fine if I let my companion Zohar here stretch her wings?
Of
while we
course.
talk?
Of course, absolutely.
All
All
right,
creatures
time
are
to send my
welcome here.
familiar on a scouting mission.
Yep, by all means. By all means, send Zohar to do her thing. And she's got a lot of room to maneuver as well.
Okay.
That back here towards the end, in the sort of the this would be considered more of the quarters section of the temple. The ceilings aren't super high, but once she gets down those hallways and back into the main room, it's fairly expansive. And she has a lot of room to stretch and fly. Yeah, it's not that there's a whole lot to see, honestly, but yeah, she
Better to
can.
be
She
safe than
definitely has
sorry.
she has a lot of room to maneuver, and no one bothers her.
Okay.
Absolutely, no one bothers her. There are a few that point out her presence as she goes
pretty much
by,
just-
but yeah, in a very
she's just
gentle.
exploring. If
Yeah.
she finds anything cool, she can report it. Otherwise, it's good to let her fly around and
Mhm.
keep track of stuff. Cool. I
Yeah,
like that.
she's got some time, and there are a couple people that do point her out, but it's more of an appreciative sort of thing, like, oh, look how
Nice.
pretty
bird.
Yeah, no one really bothers her, so she's able to
Hunt the neighborhood halfling children for lunch.
she's able to scout around pretty freely. The rooms that are open appear to be either bedrooms that are decorated in the same style, lots of plants. There's a communal mess hall with people that cook there. No stove, though. Like, they don't actually seem to cook anything. And they do have some greenhouse style rooms towards the back. From what you can tell, those are the rooms that she would be most easily accessing. A lot of places are closed, but they seem to be more bedrooms or meeting rooms. There aren't a whole lot of clerics compared to the number of people that you saw in, the Temple of Grennan, or really anywhere else that you've gone. You only see maybe a dozen people, or Zohar, I should say. She sees only about a dozen people as she flies around. The temple seems to be pretty scarcely populated. So, as Zohar heads out to stretch her wings, take some recon, the sage continues with you. I was very curious. My question has more to do with your companions than the incident, since you were not a part of that.
Of course.
The young one, boy, he has inherited a piece of property that was long held in trust by a respected family. We believe that site was once a place of power for our kind. Have you been there at all? The manor house?
Yes, I do believe I have. Very shortly after meeting these companions.
I see.
It's rather run down, but still serviceable as a home and a library.
So it's been altered then.
I haven't gone exploring the place myself. I try to stay put and keep close to my companions as much as possible, as per my orders.
You continue to talk of your orders, your employers. I won't force you to tell me, but I am very curious. Are you working for another temple? Perhaps one that's not accepted within the city?
To say I'm working with another temple might be overcomplicating things. I'm working to pay my rent.
I see.
I
must
live in an
be.
area that is not very safe. And in exchange for protection from my employers, I run odd jobs for them. Normally, it's collecting simple things, plants, animal parts, what I was raised to do by my parents when I was younger. My father was a hunter and my mother was a midwife. She taught me many things about the plants and what they could be used for. And my father's the one that taught me how to interact with animals, which parts were able to be used and which were not. So, when I found myself living in the place I do now, I put those skills to use for my landlords. Their most recent job, curious as it is, was to follow around this group of adventurers. I do not know what purpose they have, what information they find interesting or not, but they've done right by me in the past, and I'd like to continue living where I am, so why not?
It's an interesting form of rent. You say you're not sure precisely what your employers are looking to gain from your accompaniment of this crew. Have they given you any indication what makes them so special?
I stay out of their affairs, and they stay out of mine. They let me reside in their territory as long as I help them with the occasional task.
Seems to be a very dangerous task, very high rent.
Considering my other profession, I consider this to be safer.
Perhaps you're right. Safety in numbers. Always better than, not always better than being alone, but occasionally better than being alone.
That's why I have Zohar, so I'm never really alone.
She is quite beautiful.
Are there any other questions I can answer for you?
I have many, she laughs to herself, many questions, much more than seemly for the short meeting and our very short acquaintanceship. I am absolutely fascinated. There is, just for the sake of openness, there's no compulsion field here like there is at the Enclave. I don't make it a point to pry into what others don't wish to share. I understand wanting your own mind to yourself. And I wouldn't violate that trust.
I thank you.
I would be lying if I said that I am not absolutely fascinated. And if I don't have rent to offer, but I would be willing to trade information for information, things that might be valuable to you or your employers. If you would perhaps keep an eye on your young man. And if you do perchance go back to that property, if perhaps you can find out more about it. What use, what state is the temple in? Do you think he'd be amenable to letting one of us come look at it? Perhaps help restore if it's in a condition to have that done. I understand its former masters are not in any place to interfere any longer. I don't hold with the suspicion that your young man killed them, though. He seems far too innocent for that.
He's a very innocent lad. I know I have lived an incredibly sheltered life. Somehow he makes me seem world-wise.
He must be getting an education quickly then, in the manner that he lives, as must you. But if you ever are interested in a home away from home, so to speak, or just would like a place to sit and be quiet, you are always welcome here with us.
I think I like this. But before our meeting ends, There is one question I'd like to ask that's possibly more important than any others right now. What is the fate of the prisoner?
The
What's to
captain.
become of her? Yes.
My understanding of the captain is that she is quite ill. To admit,
In what way?
I don't know. She is, of course. I don't know how much you know of the captain, but she is special, and none of us are particularly skilled in treating her or even identifying what precisely is wrong. Perhaps I don't know if I should be speaking outside the conclave like this.
I only ask as my companions are quite fond of her, though I've never had any interactions with her before. I can only assume that their working relationship is close, and they wouldn't have been able to accomplish what they have without her. If she is indeed sick, I guarantee that they only have her best interests in mind. As strange as they are, I do believe they don't have any ulterior motives except for helping their friend.
Roll a persuasion, Hildreth.
Oh,
You can do it.
shit!
I believe in you.
+2. Right into the dice roll.
Hey!
Yeah! Look at that!
Nice one. Oh, shit.
Oh, man,
Smooth move, children.
Like when a roll matters as much as one does.
So the sage looks at you deeply for a moment. I won't mince words. The captain is in a great deal of trouble, and not just because of her illness. When we discovered she was sick and we were unable to treat her, certain factions within the conclave looked outside of Greylock for help. There's a man, an alchemist, that works with Aurum, with the Pyre Knights specifically. But he is a skilled doctor and seems to have treatments and knowledge that we don't possess. He claims he can cure her, and she's been under his care. I don't want you to think, and she kind of like even reaches like halfway across the table, not far enough to touch you, but enough to be emphatic. I don't want you to think we meant to harm the captain, even if all of their suspicions of her are true. And she is in some way responsible for all of this mess. She would simply be shipped home, banished. She would never have been killed. We have no desire to hurt her. But there are those that believe that she invited in and exacerbated whatever it is that is afflicting her grace, and might have caused the city to undergo the transformation that it did. So I am not entirely sure what will happen. The conclave is leaning very heavily on allowing her grace to remain in place, with perhaps a regent or two.
I cannot speak as far as politics and what is happening to her grace, but may I ask a favor, and one that you can rightly ask for recompense, just to hear out even. I ask that if they decide, the conclave that is, there's nothing to be done for Kat, can she be released into their care? Or can you at least float the idea by the rest of the conclave?
I will do my best. There are certainly other members who don't believe the captain should be held although her illness does leave a compelling reason, she has improved slightly under the care of the doctor. But not all of us believe the charges against her. The problem is the captain is very frightening for some on the conclave.
In that case,
But because of what she is and what she knows.
might it be better then that she be taken out of the city entirely? Perhaps, as you mentioned, her illness and possible corruption of her grace isn't something that is a part of the captain's nature or plans, but she is a conduit of some darker force. And it's a proximity that keeps her both corrupting others and allows this other force to corrupt her. Perhaps releasing her to my companions and letting them leave the city and concentrate on taking care of her in their travels. Not only do my companions get what they want in being able to take care of their friend, but the Conclave can know that the captain is not only with those that would definitely care for her, but anything that happens to her will not be their responsibility, and also mitigates any risks to her grace and the city of Greylock.
I would agree that if the conclave would accept that in any way, it would be on the condition that your companions take charge of her. I'm not saying that everyone would support it. I'm only saying that it would be a much stronger proposal because of who is making it. I will take it back to them. We are meeting again this afternoon, which is again why I must unfortunately keep this short. But I will propose it to them and see what I can do. I believe the seer of Inaline will support me. I don't know about the others.
If the others need
But I will
further
try.
convincing, know that both I and I am certain my companions, though I cannot speak for them, would be more than happy to do what it takes to convince the rest of the council to agree to this request, which by no means do I mean bribery or anything illicit, but they care, and if there's anything they can do to help the situation, whether it's take the captain with them, or maybe even do odd jobs for the council to earn their trust and show that they mean no ill will, perhaps that will help.
I believe you're right. I think your companions have enough pull with enough members of the conclave that it's a possibility. I will do what I can. It's gratifying to know that you have such faith in them, as much faith as some of us put in them. I will see what I can do. But I appreciate the confirmation
I see that you're in a
that
rush.
you would be willing to take it. I unfortunately do have to return, but I am pleased you came. And hope you come
next
again.
time we will be able to discuss more pleasantries.
That would be lovely. It would be lovely not to have to talk of pain and death so much.
It would, wouldn't it?
Perhaps we can talk about home next time.
Unfortunately for me,
She didn't.
home and pain and death are the same topic.
And she kind of stands a little. Then perhaps you can think of this as a second home. To balance.
I will consider this. Thank you for your time.
And she nods and just sort of points you out the door, allowing you to walk back on your own. There's, again, it's kind of the same thing as with Temple Xana. There's no obvious Templar presence or military presence, although Keller Ellenball certainly does have them. So you're not guarded in any way.
Yay!
So you could technically wander the rest of the temple if you felt like it.
Well, no, he just had Zohar doing that for him, so...
Yeah, and Zohar doesn't come back with
All
anything
time.
interesting. Basically, it's like, yeah, this place is pretty sparse, and the rooms that she could see into were pretty basic, but there doesn't seem to be anything nefarious. It's just pretty, it's very chill in there.
Yeah, all right then. I guess Hildreth will go back to the rest of the party and share his his conversation. He didn't really get a lot of knowledge, but yeah.
Okay, so Hildreth is heading back to the inn. We've done Xylund. Lana, what are you just drinking all this time? What are you doing?
I can see Lana having just been drinking this whole
Yeah,
time.
Lana's just kicking back at the bar.
I mean,
Drinking and
that's
screaming
not
at
the
people.
worst idea. She did kind of want to vibe check the population, and one way to do that is to go to
Okay.
a bar and just start chattering about Orem and see sort of where people stand. Because we're very
That's
much
true.
like, this is the end of the world, but I don't know how well how widely that's shared.
That's true. I can go ahead, make I'll just have you do a persuasion check, just do a general persuasion check, just to
Gotcha,
see.
gotcha.
We'll just call that good for everybody.
Oh, that's really
so
low.
I know, but it's good. It's good in general. Like, it's good enough to get the pulse of the bar anyway. The folks. A lot of people. Some people are nervous. Like, everyone's nervous that Orem's outside the city. Like that. That's scary because that's a lot of military.
That's a lot of people with
Greylock
swords.
has. Yeah, Greylock has. I mean, they can defend themselves martially, and they've got a good navy. But Orem's really scary. Plus, Orem has of course, the overwhelming history and reputation of being conquerors. Like, that's their whole thing. They're an incredibly militaristic society. They have some of the best weapons and armors on Iyith. They're constantly developing tactics. Their leaders are fucking ruthless, and some of the most historied and storied generals in Iyith. That's their deal. They march into a place, they take it over, it becomes theirs. Again, on their continent, the only place not controlled by them is Abris, because Abris has fireballs. That's it. That's the only reason.
Fireball grenade.
Yeah, Abris is very small. It's very insular. It's got a Nenmetal in it. And that's the only reason Abris does not belong to Orem. So obviously, so people are very nervous to have a massive conquering force outside their door.
That makes
But
sense.
most of the people, but that seems to be fairly tempered with the idea that somebody is going to work it out. Like, there is a diplomatic solution, that Orem's not really going to take over, that they're just banging their swords because that's what they do, and that either the churches will figure it out or Her Grace will figure it out. So there's a slight nervousness, but it's not a big, and like you said, it's not. They don't see it as the end of the world. They see it as much like when the roads were shut down, when the city was quarantined. It's a unpleasant situation, but it is ultimately temporary, and that they are safe.
Gotcha. Good to know. These people have confidence in their government. What the heck?
They have confidence in one or the other. They're either members of the faithful that believe their church will protect them, or they have faith in Nasali and that Nasali will keep them safe. Very rarely do they overlap. It's usually one or the other.
Oh, that's good to know,
Yes,
actually.
Yeah. The Starcaller lives in Abris. Yeah, she calls meteors from the sky, literally.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to stand against that kind of firepower.
It is difficult. Yes, she. Yeah, and Nasali and the churches they don't have a rift necessarily. Again, she's been very hands off when it comes to churches, but it is well known that she does not, she herself, although she is a Nemetal and therefore a chosen of Nenemeth, she herself doesn't devote herself to any particular deity. Like, she's never seen supporting churches one against the other. She's never seen participating in religious ceremonies or religious observances. She herself seems to be very secular, but she also does not interfere with church business. So, yeah, she's kind of the symbol for the folks that aren't faithful, which is not a big part of the population. Most places have a religion. They have a church that they follow. But those that don't tend to kind of view Nisali as that leader for them.
Good to know.
But yeah, so yeah, people seem to be fairly like nervous, but not scared yet. Just, you know, they don't like armed men at their doorstep, which is fair enough. Okay, yeah, we can fix that. I see. We can fix that is it's a common theme today.
We're gonna fix everything.
Yeah, everything that we fix is gonna be awesome. All right, Kern.
Like the chosen ones?
No,
Fix a prophecy?
no, I don't think so. Well, I don't know because your prophet's gone crazy. So who knows? All right, Kern. With us? Mushy mushy.
Maybe not.
Mushy mushy?
Yes, I am. I didn't realize that I was.
Hey,
Oh, okay, no problem. Yep.
I wasn't saying anything until you asked.
That's fine. Okay, so it's your afternoon now. What is it you would like to do?
I think I'm gonna spend the afternoon after like paying for Lily and Davynn's excursion.
Did you guys buy that?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
We did.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Go up and do like that "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" meme where I start like putting up pieces of papers and tying strings between them, getting like more and more exasperated.
That
So,
is
like names of like all the clergy that were there at the place, like trying to be like, but no, I think that this guy, we might be able to win them over if we like pit them against this person.
Okay. Plotting out your next move.
Lily can assist with that if he wants.
She'll wind the string.
Yeah. So definitely think that we need to, the more churches that we can get like, hey, like trust us and be on our side, which we don't know that we've got what's their face? Which place did Hildreth go to?
The sage.
Yeah, that was Keller Ellenball.
Yeah.
How long have I been unmuted?
What?
How long have I been unmuted?
Unmuted?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The whole time?
And then Galdus kind of
Fire
liked
Paladin.
us. Yeah,
Yeah.
he kind of liked us because we just weren't boring. If I remember correctly, he was the one that was that.
Yeah, he thought you guys were interesting.
Yeah, so I think we have an in with him as well. Rildis, no. Eston, no. Essin, maybe?
Uh-oh.
Oh, who dropped out?
I thought it was me again.
Yeah.
Okay, Noel said she was taking a break, so
Yeah.
she might need to reboot her audio.
Yeah,
Essen didn't say anything.
yeah.
Essen and Rush, or I'm sorry, Essen and Eston were pretty close, and Eston dug you guys.
Oh, Eston did?
Yeah, that was the horn snapper. That was the female Goliath. Yeah.
Kern will
Rudek.
not be going to her, but somebody else could. Looks like I don't think. Yeah. It seemed like Tenem and Eileen were pretty close.
Yeah, they share a temple space.
Yeah. I think we could do that. Daralai, no. Rush, we're unfamiliar with. Grennan, I think we have more chance of swaying them in the courtroom than outside of the courtroom.
Probably.
Yeah.
The Justice seemed to like us, though.
Yeah, which is good because they're just going to go with like whatever we present, or not present, but like whatever we can sell well there. Yeah. So I'm going to try to pitch the idea that we get Eston, Essen, Zana, Galvis.
TB.
Yeah, well, yeah, Tenem and Inaline all in a room together outside of this and just be like, hey, we were acting like pretty sketchy, but this is what's going down. This is what happened. We just weren't sure considering Orem's at the gate, and we didn't want to like provide more fuel to that fire sort of thing, so we were just guarded. I don't know. Does the group think that's a good idea? That we can... I mean, I know that Lana and Xylund are about to go on their night escapade to go get Gale.
Yeah, in theory, I'm not opposed to that. It depends on what we find out tonight, but yeah. Like, as far as for going by what we know now, yeah, that seems like a good idea.
Yeah, but I feel like we can't just call all the heads of the churches into one room at like a moment's notice, especially when they're in the middle of a conclave. So
No.
I feel like we need to
Well, I
extend
mean, if you
an invitation like maybe like a day or two out.
if you can get them all into a room together, that would be impressive. We might have to go visit them one at a time, I think. But if you can do it, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I think that the ones you've chosen would definitely be the ones most likely to listen. I'm hoping, since it seems like Kat was using Gale to keep tabs on the various churches, I'm hoping that depending on when you can get these meetings, I can have some more information for you.
Oh yeah, I'm not planning on doing it until later.
Maybe we can get more of the churches that might be receptive. Maybe we can find out something that will help convince them. Davin and I will keep working on this to see if we can get something you can use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess I'll write I guess I'll start writing letters to be like, hey, we request the pleasure of your company at... Where would we meet, though?
That's an awesome question. That was going to be my first question.
Yeah. Can we... How much is this a tavern like us? Do they have a private meeting room?
Can we rent out a room at the Temple of Grennan? Because I feel like that would be the place where we'd be least likely to get spied on.
I mean,
Maybe
Hildreth just
Grennan?
came from a place that's got meeting rooms.
I think we should let them decide upon the meeting place. If they all showed up at this tavern, that would cause a lot of waves. These are some very big names.
Yeah, they probably would not meet in a public location unless there was some level of security provided, or they could bring their own security. These are the heads of the churches that you're talking about. So
And
you would have to suggest a fairly private and fairly secure location for all of them to meet together if you want them to accept.
Aren't there like breakout rooms in the Temple of Grennan?
Yeah,
Just, like, take a
there
small
are other meeting halls. Yes, there are. It's not just the conclave. There are other meeting halls that you could use in the Temple of Grennan, but your privacy would not be guaranteed.
Yeah, and like I'm not sure that the people we want to gather together are going to be so favorably disposed towards Grennan. Like I'm a paladin, and even I'm kind of giving them the side eye at this point.
Yeah.
I think maybe letting them suggest the meeting place would be beneficial. They would have the resources to make it private, and it would possibly also set them a bit more at ease. Anywhere.
I'm just thinking the logistics of like sending a letter to them responding, having to coordinate between like 7 different people. Like, where's the best meeting place? Like, even in a group text, that's impossible to do. Instead of just having like a strong, like, hey, this is a good meeting spot for everybody, just deal with it sort of thing.
Like if Hildreth can get us a meeting room at the Keller Ellenval place, like they seemed pretty well disposed towards him, and they seemed pretty even tempered. So I don't see how anyone would be against meeting there.
They also have a less public temple than, for instance, the Church of Inoline, where pretty much everybody's there, even if they're not necessarily a member.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, no, like 75% of people who hang out at Temple of Interline are there for the beer. Like, they're not. Yeah, it's hell. That's why half of the clergy of Tenem are there. It's for the beer.
Yeah.
So I think Keller Ellenvall would probably be also one of the more private meeting spaces we could suggest.
Well, the thing is, we don't know that they'd be amenable because we don't know if Hildreth is opened up or not.
We don't know if we. Yeah, true. Fair enough.
Opened up in what way?
I mean, at least to the point that you opened up with a total stranger about.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's enough trust that they should be like, wow, this Hildreth guy is great. We should do whatever he asks. He's not mysterious. He's not mysterious. He doesn't keep secrets. He's the trustworthy one.
Yeah.
You could always send a letter to Keller Ellenvall with our idea and plans first and request.
Yeah.
And then,
by the way, Hildreth, do you say your plan with Kat, or like tell us about what happened at?
Yeah, how much are you sharing with the party?
Yeah, because that's gonna that might change a couple of things. Because right now we're making assumptions like you told us everything. Twinki?
Are you talking or?
Are you muted? Twinki. Poke, poke, poke. Poke.
I think we're just psychic and we got it.
Sorry, my Discord thing exploded. Yes, he would have absolutely told everyone. That's not a secret he'd be keeping.
Okay.
Of his many, many secrets, he would not keep that one.
I didn't say,
you just said that he
just
didn't have
that
any
one.
secret.
Just that one. That one he'll share.
He's going to throw you guys a bone and tell you that he has plans for rescuing Kat. That doesn't involve unreasonable amounts of treason.
And also doesn't involve making sure that all the friends we've made here now hate us.
Also true.
But you tell us the specifics, like you told who's and what her fate.
Requested that she float an idea by the council to release Kat peacefully into your care.
Okay. Cool.
No
and
guarantees, but
she seemed down with it. So
yes.
later on in the day, I can be like, "Hey, do you mind if we host a powwow with like some of the churches here, since this seems secluded?"
He would also mention that the Church of Ninimith is on our side, most likely.
Well, yeah, but they don't actually get a say because the Church of Darelai is the one that takes over and makes all the decisions for them.
Well, the more allies, the better.
Yeah, but it's like there's no ally here.
Oh.
There's Bowen, but she's not here.
Yeah, Bowen got what's it called? Exiled.
We got 2 days. We could go get Bowen. Did you get exiled?
Just add more people to our list of fetches.
Yeah, she got exiled.
She got kicked out.
So I'm thinking we hold this meeting and we have a contingency in case it goes bad.
Oh yeah, our contingency is like still, well, at least what I think is we get the boat in the water.
Mm-hmm.
If things go south, I go in, and since I'm going in like every day to check in on Kat and be nice and just play the part of a good friend. If things go south, I will quickly try to recall us back to the Temple of Inoline, make a mad dash for the port, and then we just leave.
I was thinking that we could have a bunch of wagons strategically placed around our meeting place, filled with halflings covered in napalm, and we light the wagons on fire. And the distraction outside will cause everyone to not know what's going on, and then we can escape with Kat into chaos.
I don't think we'd know what's going on.
Exactly. You can claim innocence.
How are we gonna get all these halflings without anybody noticing, though?
They're halflings. They're all probably homeless living in the sewers. That's what they do, live in holes, right?
What?
Wow.
What? Where
racist.
is this coming from?
Racist!
Halflings and gnomes are my least favorite D&D races. I hate them with a passion.
You know what? There's a reason there aren't many halflings in Greylock. It's not because they live in the sewer, though.
It's because
they're afraid of
Wolfman
people
already
lighting
went
them on
around and
fire.
rounded them all up.
Because long ago, a white-scaled dragonborn gathered up many of their kind and burnt them alive.
And now on this day, we recreate that famous act by rounding
like
up
a-
the halflings.
It's like a Civil War reenactment. with
Yeah,
flowers
exactly.
and marshmallows.
It's like Guy Fawkes Day, but instead of burning effigies, they're burning.
We're gonna get it always comes back to the halfling.
All right, so y'all realize that this is making us more into treason, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
This isn't
Always come
treason.
back
This
to
is
that.
war crimes.
War crimes, treason, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
We're not even at war. It'd be war crimes.
Yeah, gnomes are the best.
Can we bring back Noak's Knowledge Gnome with the original Mystic rules?
Oh my
man,
god.
that guy was so overpowered.
So broken. So
I mean,
broken.
to be fair, it'd be super easy to break out Cat with a freaking Noakes on
Yeah.
board.
Yeah,
Noak's the
Yeah.
mind gnome.
Noakes is
The knowledge
like,
gnome.
hey Noakes, we need blueprints for the prison so we know where Cat's at. I cast my mind in a news sphere and Google.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it. Here you go. So broken. So broken. Okay, so you all, I'm assuming, are going to sort of recongregate at the inn in order to share this information.
Yes.
Catch each other up. Look at your new magnifying glass that cost you. I don't even want to know how much of your party's wealth.
It was a quarter of our party gold.
Like, it's a weirdly expensive item.
Can we try and just see if Michael or Davynn can maybe haggle it down just a little bit?
I already deducted it. It's too late.
I can
I
try.
can't go back. I can't go
I
back,
mean,
man.
but
I don't know how to add. All I know is how to subtract.
All right, I'll take the extra.
Oh, okay. Zion's got his new armor. Yes, his new sexy armor.
Hmm.
yeah. This is the first
Oh,
time
my.
I've seen Xylund wearing like clothes. Usually he's got his armor over top of him.
Oh my god, Xylund, you look hot.
That Xylund.
Not
So
what I
hot.
was going for.
That Xylund.
But yeah, it's like skin tight underneath my clothes. Cool.
Anyways, can Davynn try and haggle
What was that
A little bit.
snort, Lana? I think that was Noel that snorted.
No, that was me.
Was that Twinki? All right, I'll yell at Twinki instead. Nice snort. All right. So yeah, sexy Island. Everyone comes together to congregate, share information. And Kern poses the idea of contacting the Sage of Color Ellenball
Yes.
in
Yeah,
order to set up a
and the-
meeting.
And the discussion we had was the actual discussion.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you guys have gone through that. So Kern, you are free to do that. So now that you are once again all together, it is definitely evening time or approaching. You know, it's definitely the supper hour. You guys have shopped and you've gone out and you talked to people and you've been sociable and awesome and persuasive and y'all got plans. I think
But
Lana's
the
ready
monkey in
to
our wrenches.
head out.
I thought you were just going to say, but.
Oh no buts. No, I don't have to put up any obstacles. You guys
Do that all on our own.
do that all on your own.
Since Lily isn't really going to need to use any spell slots tonight, just to save Lana some spell slots, she's going to be the one that casts invisibility on the team Go Get Gale to at least get them an hour's worth of distance.
Okay.
Again,
Can you cover me, Xylund, and the horse?
I think maybe at
I'll
higher
castigate will
level-
work.
Yeah,
Alternatively, if you don't want to burn a fifth, I can burn a second level and cover one of us.
No, I want you to have all your spell slots since you're going into danger. All I'm doing is deciphering this book, and Davynn's the only one who's using spell slots there. I'm using
Alrighty.
cantrips. So I'll use a 5th level spell to
Wait, what's going on?
I'm
We're
gonna use
We're going to
invisibility.
go bust out Gale on an invisible
Okay,
horse.
before
Don't
we do
question
that,
it.
I gotta go quickly back to the Xana temple real quick
Okay.
because I
Alright.
realized that I can't infuse the goggles without taking a long rest, so I need my helmet back if we're going to be doing a night mission.
Oh my god!
He needs his special hat.
Does somebody have the spell Dark Vision?
No, I never
I
needed
have
it.
a hat. I have a hat for this. I just need to get it back. Okay, so
While he's doing that, Lana, I want to workshop a character with you. She's called Conjure Rachel.
Oh my god.
God. Okay. All right, Xylund, you go get your hat. You guys
She's
prepare for your night vision or your night.
I'll bring it
your-
back when I'm done. I tell them.
No, I mean, it's your hat. Like they're not gonna keep it from you.
Oh, I know, but they like I promised that I'd let them have it for a day. I don't want to break my word.
Okay. Well, if you need it, then you need it. So yeah, they'll definitely release your property to you. You guys can get set up. Kern, you send your letter. Lily's cast her spell. So Lana, silent.
I will cast Death. No, I don't have it prepared. Never mind. Can't do it. My bad.
You have so little faith in us.
Oh, it's always easier to have a backup plan.
Oh, yeah.
Just have a backup.
before you guys leave, do you want Lily to establish a telepathic bond just in the short term to?
I mean, it can't hurt.
Because it's not concentration and it's a ritual. So doing that prior to invisibility would at least let you guys communicate if something does happen.
Should I ask Gale if it's okay if we come break him out?
No.
Okay.
That was a resounding no.
Right? Why would you bother?
It would ruin the dramatic surprise.
Gale, we've come for you.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so Lily is going to use this as a ritual to basically link the... Do you need the entire party, or would you rather just the two of you and one of us here?
Maybe also give us Kern.
Okay, so the two of you and Kern will be able to telepathically communicate. So push comes to shove, you can have some home support, and you can also talk to each other without actually speaking, keeping your stealth thing going.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that, and then as soon as that ritual's done, she gives you guys, all three of you, including the horse, invincibility.
Invincibility would be very nice. I think you meant invisibility.
That's what I meant, but I slurred a little bit.
All right. Okay.
And that's really the only thing that Lily can do for y'all before you leave.
That's plenty.
So that's a lot, though.
Yay.
All right. So
Hildreth can cast Water Walk, but it only lasts for an hour in case you run across a moat.
We have
We're
a
gonna
flying
fly
horse.
across it.
I can cast Haste, but that's a bad idea.
There
That's a
might be
bad
sky
idea.
water. What if you fly through a
there
rain
might
cloud?
be sky water.
There's a part of Lily.
Legendary sentences.
There's a part of Lily that wants to come along because she's got pass wall, which could make things easier, but she realizes that division of labor is important.
Yes, it's important. All right. So it's not T-Rex. T-Rexes don't exist, even if you call them pass wall. That doesn't. Renaming it doesn't change what it is.
They do exist, though.
We will one day find something that is on par with the T-Rex, and you can use that. But until that day, you can call the ship what? Oh, I thought you were naming the ship. Yes, you can. You are free to dedicate the ship to any deity you want, and shrines to Inaline are traditionally anyway made out of like sea scraps anyway. So it's any ship is considered a sacred space to Italy.
Awesome.
So you
I
can
just wanted
definitely
I just wanted to know if I could recall to it the ship.
Yes, you will be able to recall to it, but you will have to build a little shrine and you'll have to treat it as such. But yes, you can definitely call that a sanctuary of Italy. Not a problem.
feel like Kern, being a cleric of Eileen, who's done rituals to Eileen and actually spoken with Eileen, would have no issues with treating
Yeah,
a
and generally it's considered good practice whether you're a member of the faithful or not, considering Eileen is the goddess of sea and storms. And you want your boat to live. So yeah, that's not a problem. All right, so team infiltration. Headed out. Invisible Pegasus. Ready for danger and action. As you guys head out, I assume in the northerly direction, leading from the north gate. Kern, just as an aside, you do get a response. Are you sending a letter through courier, or how are you sending your letter to the Sage of Keller Ellenball?
I think I walk to the place and just be like, "Hey, can you give this to your boss, please?"
Okay. All right.
I don't trust the couriers.
Okay.
They're being watched.
No problem. You do get a couriered letter back later in the evening as you wait for team infiltration to return, where the Sage is more than happy to host a lunch, which is what she refers to it as, tomorrow at the temple for any number of guests that you may wish to invite that she does not need to know about ahead of time.
Okay.
So you have that authority to speak in her name. Alrighty. Team infiltration. Here we go. This will be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be great. So, heading out the north gate. Do you guys know where it is that you're going?
I believe we asked last session. However,
Yeah, and
feel free to correct me on that.
It
no,
was,
he did.
the quote was like, "It's hard to miss."
Yeah, he did. He said it was hard. Go out the north gate. It's hard to miss. Oh.
So we'll go at the north gate and look.
All right. So you kind of fly around the northern section outside Greylock, and there are some farmhouses, but they tend to be more of the modest variety. As you get further outside of town, even on your Pegasus, it does take about an hour outside of Greylock proper, and you do begin to see below you the sprawling gardens and farms and walled sections of a rather large stately mansion, multiple outbuildings. It's quite a bit of land holding down there. It is also definitely the largest manor in the area.
All right, let's buzz by some windows and see if we can see Gale inside, I guess.
I
Okay. All right. Getting closer to the ground, you can see, even in the darkening night, there are people still working. Fires have been lit both outside the walls and inside the gardens, contained bonfires mostly, and braziers. There is, all told, maybe a dozen or so knights or soldiers, definitely, folks in plate with swords and bows, that are clustered in small groups around the fires. There are some tents and some other makeshift buildings, definitely out of place among the cobblestones and trim topiary that take up most of the outside area. But they are here. Some of them are patrolling, but the vast majority are clustered around these fires.
Are these Aurum Knights or what?
It's tough to tell. They don't wear the red cloaks of the Pyre Knights, and so if you're not closer to them, like if you're not face to face with them, it's difficult to tell. There don't appear to be any officers or any insignia to let you know who they fight for, and there are no banners or flags to give any indication of what city they represent. So they just look like soldiers. They look like knights. Whether they're private or they belong to Aurum, you're not real sure. But there are two that are definitely guarding the front door.
good thing we weren't planning to take the front door.
Yeah. Well, do we want to get closer to them and see if we can get a closer look just to ascertain who they're with?
I have a feeling we'll get close to guards, whether we like it or not, before we get to Gale. We might as well not try our luck now.
All right. We can always ask them if we get lucky and
Yeah.
don't meet any guards.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, who told us to go in the back way?
I have no idea. It's been 2 weeks.
I think it was Gale, actually.
So he just wanted us to like knock on the back door?
I have no idea.
That seems ill-advised. I think we should do the window checking plan.
We could just hop in an upper story window.
Well, it'd be nice to get the right window first try if we can.
I agree.
All right. So you're just buzzing by windows upstairs?
Yep.
Most of them are dark. It's not that late at night. And you can see that there are others that have lights behind curtains. So
shit.
of some variety. Most of the curtains are drawn. Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, no.
I just had an idea. Kern, do a sending to Gale. Tell him to
Kern
we're
can't
flying
hear
past
us.
his...
It took an hour to get here.
Oh, god damn it. So we're not I'm saying this out loud?
Yes.
Well, it's a telepathic bond, so you would just be thinking.
It only lasts an
Kern,
hour.
do a
It took
sending.
an hour to drive. Yeah, there we go.
Right,
You're
but he
thinking real
just
hard
wouldn't get
that
a
Kern should
response.
send.
Yeah, you're just thinking, and you're Kern, and he doesn't respond. God damn it. Yeah, you don't have to say it out loud. You would be able to think it just wouldn't work.
But I've been talking to Lana out loud.
Yes, you have been talking to Lana.
Okay. Well, I have sending stones. I could send him a sending.
Go
I don't
for
think
it.
I've done that today. Okay. So if we get Kern to send Gale a message, then we could get him
You know,
to come
I
through
can
a
just
window.
send Gale a message, right?
Oh, okay. We'll do that then. That's easier.
All right.
You're having this discussion with this pole in the air. Okay. I'm sending to Gale.
Kind of ruins the surprise, but I guess that's okay. And look out the window.
You actually don't get. You actually don't get a response from your sending.
Well, he's either asleep, dead, or warded.
What time is it now?
It's
Middle
full
of the night.
dark. Yeah, it's not late enough that folks are in bed, but it's definitely past supper. It is full dark. There are plenty of lights on within the house. There's lights above the doors. They haven't been snuffed for the night. You can see lights behind various curtains, both upstairs and downstairs. A lot of the outbuildings are lit. So people are awake.
My stealth score is well, I don't have disadvantage anymore because I got the skin tight armor.
So it's 0.
I got +1.
Yeah.
Well, what am I going to do while you sneak around? Just hang out on a turret or something?
Wait for screaming? I mean, you'd keep the horse.
You're the getaway guy.
I'd be on
You are
foot.
Batman.
Okay, all right. Well, all right.
Let's find an unlocked window. I can hop in and regret my life choices a little bit.
Yeah, try not to do any treason while you're in there, please.
I'll do my best. I think hopping in itself is
I
treason,
recommend
but
7 treasons.
Okay, now you are aware that, of course, your invisibility is also gone.
I burned a slot to refresh it.
Did you? Okay. Good.
So is this horse going to obey me out here?
I will ask it politely to, but it is a free-thinking creature.
You summoned
Except
it,
for when
make
I
it do
tell it
whatever
to
you
do
want.
things. Yeah, but I like to respect its autonomy.
So just don't talk shit to it.
Yeah, be nice, and it'll be fine.
All right. So now, are you okay? So who is invisible? You say you burned a spell slot.
I
but
made
you-
me, the island, and the horse.
all three. Okay.
All three.
Double
Maybe like get out of sight, like stay on top in a nice cranny up there, because if things go south, I'm gonna have to cast something else, and then you'll be visible.
So you want me to? Okay.
I mean, you're on the horse though, so there's like only so much.
Okay. All right. Fine. So I'll find like a. Is there like an abandoned sort of walkway up here or something that I can park the invisible horse on?
On the house?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, you can. The roof is fairly sizable and flat in places. You could sort of position yourself to where line of sight would be greatly reduced, but
Is the roof flat?
in places, yes. It's a
this-
combination of flat roofs and gables, and yeah.
Is this horse gonna stay still while we explore? Because like they're gonna hear the sound of a horse clopping around on the roof.
I can ask it politely to stay still, and it probably will.
Okay.
Alternatively, I can just send it up and it can
Look at your
circle up in
biggest
the
foot.
clouds or something, and it'll just take a minute to come back if we need it.
I won't be able to hear the screams though.
So you're
This-
invisible as well.
I mean, I could leave you on the roof, the horse up in the clouds, and me in the house, and then we're scattered, but, you know, you can come
How
busting
about-
in with a grappling gun in a pinch.
Right. How about you leave the horse up in the clouds? I come in with you, but I don't follow you deeper into the place. I just stay near the window where we break in.
Sounds good. And if invisibility drops, jump.
Well, yeah. If invisibility drops, then we'll figure that out as
Yep.
it happens.
This is a perfect plan.
Yeah.
All right. Horse be gone once we find an appropriate window.
Okay. I bamped in and out in the middle of that. So which window are we looking for?
I think we're looking for one probably off high up. How many stories are on this manor?
There's only two.
Perfect. Second story.
Okay. So you're looking for a second story window.
With the curtains open, ideally, so that we know what we're dropping in on.
Curtains open. Okay. You can find a second story window with the curtains open. There is one that looks in on what might be a library. It's a very small library with a desk and chair. It is unlit. There's nobody inside. There's no lights. The door is open, so you can see out into the second story hall, but there's nobody in line of sight.
Sounds good to me. Window locked, unlocked?
Window's locked. It's actually a small balcony. All these windows have small balconies with wrought iron railings, and there are double glass paned doors, effectively French doors, that lock. No, it is not locked. You may go in.
All right, Xylund off the horse.
So Zan, you're gonna
I'm
set
coming
up
into
shop. Okay.
inside. Also, while I'm here, I might as well look at their books.
Okay. So Xylund is invisibly perusing the library.
God.
You know, for funsies.
Yeah.
You can roll
I
an
will.
investigation if you like, Sam.
Okay. We really should have gotten the sending stones from Kern so that we could communicate while we're doing
Yes, that would have been a good idea.
this. If
Don't
we'd known
I
this
have one of them and you
telepathic.
have one of them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have a set.
No, but just so me and Lana could communicate.
Oh, yeah, no. You only have your one to Kern with Kiss Face on it. There's a lot of books in here on bugs.
All right.
Nothing super interesting. Yeah, I saw Kern's invitation. It's very nice. Very nice. Okay, so Xylund is keeping his head down in the darkened library. Lana, you have free access to go out into the second story hallway,
I
which
will
again
do
is
so.
lit. All right. It's a large rectangular walkway that wraps all the way around, lined with doors. Some of them are opened. The majority of them are closed. There are 3 armored guards in plate that patrol the
It's a
upstairs.
good thing I'm invisible.
Yes. Yes. Again, hall very well lit, multiple lights. No expense being spared here on fuel lamps. And then down below, you can hear the clang of additional metal-clad individuals. The house right now, they're just they don't carry insignia. Their armor is fairly basic issue. They don't have banners, they don't have cloaks. There's no indication. And they just appear to be rank and file. There's no officers or anybody among them. They're definitely patrolling. The house itself is really well decorated. It's quite beautiful. It's clearly an older home. All of the furnishings are antiques or near to. There are large, elaborate tapestries that line the halls. There are paintings all over the walls. It's a very nice older home. Other than the clank of metal, though, there's no real sound. It's hard to tell how many people are actually in here outside of soldiers.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm
playing
not,
too much
these
Divinity.
paintings aren't cool enough. I guess I'm going to try to keep my distance from the patrolling 3 and sort of do a circle up top here.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and roll yourself.
Alrighty. That one out of the gate. Let's go.
Here we go.
Nah.
All right. For these boys. Disappoint me. So you're easy again. You're invisible and you're quiet, so you make quick work of dodging and weaving around these patrols. The few doors that are open appear to be, they might be guest quarters. They are definitely bedrooms. They are unoccupied and there are no lights on inside.
All right. I think I'm on the wrong wing. I need to get to another compartment of this place.
All right. You can definitely take the stairs down. There are smaller doors because there are 2 sizes of doors. There are larger doors that seem to look into rooms, and then there are smaller doors, more akin to like closet-sized doors that might lead to other hallways. They also might lead to servant stairs. You really don't know unless you open them. So it's up to you which route you choose to take.
So the patrols of these guards, would that leave points where you can open the doors without someone seeing you? Or will this door just fly open and fold you?
The door would just fly open.
Cool. We're going to start with the stairs then.
I was going to say, yeah, there's no obstruction of view. It's all an open square of a hallway. So yeah, you don't have much cover there. Going down the stairs, you are in one section of a fairly large grand hall. There are 2 other sets of stairways that you can take, one to the left and one to the right. There are another 4 soldiers down here, also in plate. There's also he looks civilian, but he also looks incredibly well off. Younger guy, probably in his mid-20s. Very richly dressed. He's got Gale's hair color and basic kind of coloring, but other than that, they don't look anything alike. He's very tall and fairly thin. He's got a super easy smile. He is chatting with 2 of the guards with a wine glass in his hand, looking completely at ease down here. He's the only other civilian that you see, other than there are a few folks that are probably servants. They're wearing domestics clothing and appear to be cleaning up or maybe shutting down the house for the night.
Anything particularly interesting in their conversation?
No, it's very idle chatter. The young man is going on about a woman that he met at a tavern 2 nights before. And while he's not giving any salacious details, he is talking just enough that it gets the soldiers kind of laughing. He is, again, incredibly ill at ease. He's very glib. He's thoroughly enjoying both his wine and his story.
All right. Time to take an entryway to another sector of this house.
Okay. There are multiple doors to choose from. Again, most of them shut. There are occasions when the doors open as the servants walk in and out of them. So you would have momentary chances to slip into other areas downstairs, or you can try either the left or right stairway.
So there's the stairway I came down, and then there's left or right.
There's left and right. Yeah, there's additional stairways that lead to other wings of the house, or you can try to slip into one of the rooms as the servants come in and
start
out.
Going where Gale is sleeping. So I'll start with staircase B to the right.
Okay. To the right. Headed upstairs is, again, another wing of the home. There's only one guard in this area, and most of the doors are open and dark. There is one light on at the absolute end. It's the corner room. Door is mostly shut, but in the crack you can see that there is some lamplight. And it is most likely one of the rooms that you passed as you were doing your drive around that had its curtains drawn. The light is not super strong.
Can I slip down to the end of this hall?
Mm-hmm. You can sneak, yeah.
Do I have to roll again?
Yes. Yeah,
Shoot.
it's furnished very much
Never mind.
the same
I'm a
way.
god.
I was gonna say, I don't know why you're worried. Roll for this guy. Yeah. It's hard to beat an invisible bard. So yes, you managed to dodge the one lonely patrolman up here. Yes, invisibility gives you advantage. Yeah, there. Unless you literally fail and trip over a table, you're gonna be okay. You can slip down to the end of the hall towards the adjacent door or the ajar door. Peeking inside, there is definitely somebody inside because you can hear them humming to themselves.
I missed that.
Hmm?
Did you just say the door was ajar? Sorry.
Yeah, door is ajar, and you can hear someone inside
perfect.
humming to themselves.
Is this a familiar sounding hum?
It's not a song that you know.
I meant more voice.
It's hard to tell. It's a hum. It sounds like a male voice.
Well, I don't have a self-preservation instinct, so I'm gonna just give this door the teensiest of push, like when a gust just pushes your door open a little bit.
Okay.
And then go flat against the wall.
So you give a little push, flatten yourself. The humming stops, and there's the soft sound of footsteps approaching the door, opening it to its full extent. And a man pokes his head out into the hall, inches from you. Yeah, definitely the wrong man. This gentleman is significantly older. He's probably creeping up on mid-50s. Dark hair. Definitely well-dressed, but in a fairly casual outfit. He's got a very fine paintbrush in one hand, like you would see a calligrapher use or someone else that paints small things, delicate things. Then he just kind of glances down the hall towards the guard who is not paying attention. He's on the other end. And goes back inside, closes his door completely.
All right, my business in this wing is done. I'm going to go now.
So as you make your way back downstairs, the young man in the grand hall is still chatting away, although this time he's talking about the overall commotion in the city and how he will unfortunately be called back on the next day, and how unhappy he is about that, and the burdens of duty and so on and so forth. Waving it away with his quickly draining wine glass. And most of the staff have vacated the Grand Hall, but there is one person left. She's maybe 14, just as a maid, and she's carrying up a small tray of food and a teacup up the left staircase.
Perfect. Let's follow her.
Okay. Dun, 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 dun. So you're tracking her. She heads up to the third and final wing, which is much larger than the other two. This seems to be where not only there are bedrooms, but there's also a lot of working rooms in here. There's multiple offices. There's also a huge library that takes up a good half of one side of the halls. There are 3 guards that walk these halls. Most of the doors are open, except for the one that is dead across from the staircase itself, which is double-doored and closed. And so the maid struggles with the tray a little bit. You can kind of see it is like it's got quite a bit on it. There's a lot of food that's being stuffed onto this tray, and she's not very big, so she's trying to hang on to it with one hand while knocking on the door. And she knocks, and there's no response, and so she kind of waits, shifting on the balls of her feet, and she's struggling with this tray, and she knocks a second time, and there's no response. So she tries one more time, and then she just opens it and starts to back in with this massive tray, leaving the door open behind her. There is a guard that approaches as she does this. He doesn't address her in any way. He just sort of stands nearby. He also doesn't help her carry the tray or anything. He just watches. He watches her go inside, and you've got about a 10-second window from when she opens it to where he stands in the doorway. So if you would like to go in, you can. Yes, you can go ahead and roll your stealth just as a precaution, but yeah, you definitely have a small opportunity to slip in unnoticed before the door becomes blocked. And in this room is a fairly sizable office. It too has 2 walls full of books. There is a little bit of light on the desk. There's also a fairly sizable table shoved off in one corner with a couple of trays stacked on it. There's a chess set, as well as a table that you would know is often used for playing dragon chess to one side. That is totally set up with pieces that look older than probably anything else in this house. On the desk itself, there is a very neat stack of papers, several small stacks of books, very orderly quill and ink. And on one corner is a massive contraption. It looks like a microscope, but it's set with a dozen different lenses that can all be sort of pulled in and layered in on each other to make something more focused. Right now, all the lenses are sort of splayed out, and it's kind of ignored off to one side. And the occupant of the office has his head down. From the gentle sounds of breathing, he seems to have fallen asleep at his desk.
Honey. I'm gonna scare the shit out of you.
So the maid goes in. She tries to give him his food, sees that he is dozed, and leaves it off on the table, collecting the other trays, which are full of half-eaten food and cold tea. and once again struggles to make it into a pile that she can carry relatively comfortably, and scuttle back out into the hallway. The guard watching the whole time, waiting until she's left the room, and then he shuts the door, and you can hear the lock click.
All right. Time for my lock from which side?
From the
As in-
outside. As in,
So I'm locked
he
in?
shut the door, unlocked the door from the outside. You are locked into this library. There are no windows that lead to the outside. It is an interior room.
Good to know. Now for my seamless plan to wake Gale up without freaking him out. First things first. I'm gonna just get a little bit of paper and a pen. Make a quick little note. Your friends are here. Try not to make too much noise. I'm gonna put that on the table in front of him. This food that she brought in. Is there like bread or something?
Yes. No, yeah, it's a proper noble's supper. So there's cuts of meat, there's veg, there's a small bowl of fruit and porridge, there's several dinner rolls, there's tea, there's a glass of wine. Yeah, there's plenty of food.
I will start very gently, very slowly, stacking dinner rolls on his head. I need something that won't make him freak out.
You get to 3. You get to 3 successfully stacked dinner rolls before he reaches up to swat at one, toppling them and waking him completely. Of course, he's got massive bedhead. His little sad teenage stubble is still there. It might be the light, but he looks dreadfully pale and tired.
It's almost like he's been locked in a library.
Yeah. He's got definite dark circles under his eyes. He's half awake. Sort of snorts himself. He's wearing very nice clothing. He's dressed like a nobleman. This is the first time you've ever seen Gale where he wasn't in his cleric's robes or in a tunic. Like he's dressed like a very rich nobleman. He doesn't seem to like it because he spends the next several minutes like trying to adjust the collar and all his clothes. They got messed up while he was asleep. But eventually he starts picking up dinner rolls, looking confused, and then stacking them very carefully, very methodically back on the plate where they belong before he notices the note.
I felt no need to interrupt this process.
Yes, it was a process. It was very much an Adrian Monk, I must fix this, before he noticed the piece of paper. And he very gently picks it up and very blurrily looks at it. And you can kind of hear the gear start to turn slowly as he reads it.
Poor kid.
He looks mildly confused, but not entirely surprised.
Lift a biscuit so that it's just sort of floating there. You know, really tune him into the situation before I say anything. I really don't want him screaming.
He sees the biscuit. Lily?
Hey, close. Hey, Gale. It's Lana. Keep my voice down for this, obviously.
Okay. He too seems to be speaking lower. What are you doing with my dinner?
I mean, waking you up, mostly.
Did you
Listen.
want that? Because you can, like, he's not awake yet. You can have that if you want. I'm not.
Oh, kid, you're so asleep. I'm gonna, like, bounce it off his head.
Stop it.
No.
This is my home. You can't just... This isn't like the cart. You can't just come in and throw biscuits at my head.
Oh, I'm gonna do it again.
Anna.
Poor kid's so asleep. So, you're locked in your library?
Am I?
I mean, it's saying maybe you were.
Oh. Did they lock the door?
I think so.
I have a key. That's fine.
good.
Yeah.
So, what's going on here, Gale? We haven't actually decoded your book yet. We're working on it. Kat seemed to say we should talk to you. Orm's at the gate. Your brother's here.
He puts his hands up, like, just over his ears. They're not on his ears, but they're, like, you know,
Yeah. Oh,
several
poor
inches
poor
away from
tired
his
child.
ears. Like, stop talking. Stop.
I will give him 20 seconds of
Wait.
silence.
Okay. You talk to Kat.
Sort of. I tried to talk to her. She put images in my head, and then I got arrested.
Well, that sounds about right. Sounds
Doesn't
very
it?
familiar, actually.
Mhm.
Okay, when did you guys get here?
2 days ago. Little less.
2 days.
That's right, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's been about a day and a half. Yeah.
And a lot happened while we were gone.
Yes, that is very true. Where are you all here? Where's Xylund?
You don't want to know, but he's not far.
I don't want. What? Why don't I want to know?
I mean, he's currently hanging out. Oh no, he's in one of the libraries now. It's fine.
He's in the house
Yeah, I know.
by himself.
I tried. Oh, fuck.
Why
Okay,
do we keep
we'll handle
doing
that. We'll handle that when we get to it. He's got a book on bugs.
no,
He might be busy.
No, he's in.
If I cast a spell, the invisibility drops and he becomes visible. Otherwise, I would ask him.
Stands up.
That's only true if it's another concentration.
No, regular
Grabs
invisibility
his
breaks.
keys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does. Grabs his key, stomps over the door. He's got little slippers on. And he unlocks it. And then he opens it. Then he shuts it. And he looks back towards the desk. You stay here. Okay? Don't touch my stuff.
Okay.
And then he leaves the room.
How many seconds do you wait before you start touching?
Yeah, touch all his stuff.
I mean, I'm invisible. I don't even wait till the door's closed.
Yeah. Don't touch my stuff. And then he leaves. Yeah, Xylund, from your location within the library, you're just sort of noodling around, invisible. I assume. Like there's not a whole lot in there. The library doesn't seem to be used a lot for as small as it is. But eventually the door just opens like full force, knob hitting the wall, and there's Gale in his tiny fury. He goes in and slams it behind him. You can hear the guards. Like the guards are hot on his tail. He slams the door, and you get a stage whisper. I know you're here. Don't touch whatever you're touching. You follow me, okay?
Sneak
You're not
around
allowed
behind
in
him.
here.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
sneak around behind him,
Okay.
or try to.
You gonna say anything?
No, I'm gonna sneak first.
Okay, go roll your sneak. Ooh, look at that. So you successfully get between him and the door.
I flick his ear from behind.
He grabs his ear. I am done with you already. You're not supposed to be in here. Just be quiet and
We came
follow
to rescue
me.
you.
Yeah, I see that. Just
Poor kid.
shush. He opens the door again, which of course hits you. He turns around to open it, which is exactly where you're standing. So you get knocked by the door a little bit. And he tells the guards to get the hell out of his way. This is exactly the way he phrases it. And he stomps back out into the hall in full teenage stroppiness. And leads you back to the main library where he was sleeping. As you bob and weave behind him. The guards, for their part, they kind of keep their distance. Like they don't want to get in his way, but they're trying to do their job. So you have a fairly wide berth around them. They're more concerned about him than they are you. But you're able to make it back to the main library without much in the way of incident. You two get to see the grand tour, get to see the youngish men in the grand hall chatting. Yep.
Given my military experience, do I have any insights into who these guys are?
They're just grunts.
Just
Like I said,
grunts?
yeah, their armor doesn't seem to be particularly well made. It's good quality. Like it'll hold up and everything. But there's nothing about it that says that these are, decorated veterans or anything like that. They're grunts. They're
Okay.
frontliners. Yeah, there's nothing, there's no indication of where it came from other than the fact that it is particularly well made, and there's only a couple places that make stuff like that. So there are a few centers of arms and armors manufactory. One is Lorehold, the other is Orem.
Okay. So it is really well made. I thought you said it wasn't.
Well, I mean, it's not exceptional. It's not customized armor, but it is
Okay.
quality armor. Yeah, it's definitely stuff that's been handed out. It's not anything that's been custom made for somebody, but the
Okay.
quality of the materials is good.
Okay.
So yeah, these guys don't seem to. They're not as a special forces group or anything. They're frontliners. They're grunts. So you make your way. You pass the young man telling his charming tales. And make your way back to the library.
I did meet Gail's brother, the one who was with Orem. Is this
Yes.
that guy or
No,
Okay.
This guy is younger.
okay?
No, vague family resemblance, but this guy is definitely younger and definitely more charming than that guy was. He's also smaller. He's not as well built.
Okay.
Yeah, very different personalities between the two. So Gail opens up the library, goes inside, pulls the door open probably 10 seconds longer than necessary before slamming it and locking it, this time from the inside with his own key. He goes back to his desk. Lana, what have you been touching in this time?
I have been looking through everything on his desk because I respect his privacy.
His desk, he has 4 drawers each side of his desk. Each one of them has a lock. So if you would like to attempt to pick them, you can. They are all actually locked. Like, this is a very secure location for Gale.
I mean,
Can I roll an? Is there an acid trap on this first?
You can do an investigation to see if it's trapped. While the locks are very high quality, very well done, the desk itself does not appear to be trapped. No.
Then that's a 17.
Okay. So you go about picking locks. You wouldn't have enough time necessarily to pick all of them, but you
I
could
pick
definitely
one at
get
random.
one side. Okay. You can pick bin, and I will roll randomly to see which drawer you get. If it has any cool in it or not. No. This one this one has odds and sods in it. It's kind of a junk drawer. It's got bits of paper, which why it's locked up, it's hard to say because most of them are blank. But it's also got older paper as well. They're drawings of, well, bugs, basically, but like scientific sketches, identifying parts and things like that. And there's an old pencil set in there that is very old, clearly not being used. But there's also stuff that's in Gale's handwriting, stuff that's newer, that's been written in ink, not necessarily with the pencil set. And he appears to be experimenting with very tiny writing.
That makes sense. All
Yeah.
things considered.
So it's just kind of a mishmash. Oh crap. Then he himself arrives, slamming the door.
I very subtly reclose the desk.
And flumps down. Lana's in here too.
Hi, Lana.
Hey, Xylund, he didn't trust you to stay alone.
That's weird.
No, it's not.
So are you ready to be rescued?
You can't. What do you mean, rescue me?
Well, is that Orem out there?
Yes, of course it's Orem out there.
Well, then we're rescuing you from them.
I don't need to be rescued from them. What are you?
Well, we also need to pick your brain.
Yeah,
And it
mostly
seems
that.
like it's
Well, that's quite different. Anyway,
we
how about
can't stay
just-
invisible forever. And
yeah, I understand. So how about you answer my questions first for once?
All right, hit us.
Have you been to the conclave?
Yep.
What did you tell them?
not much, really.
We were pretty avoidant, all things considered.
I find that difficult to believe.
Well, I was. I don't know about these guys.
I find that easier to believe.
Yeah.
Well, what did you tell them about the captain?
That she was good buds with Nisali and that probably Nisali was doing so poorly because she was lonely without the captain.
Sally's doing poorly.
Yeah. So you were spying on us for Cat?
Spying is not the word I would use. Kat asked me to keep an eye on you to make sure that you were okay. And that if I thought at any point that you were in over your head, I was to send her a signal.
And you didn't? Because we were.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the part I'm really surprised by here, to be honest.
I know. I know. I was scared. I didn't tell her a lot of what was going on because I didn't
Probably
want
for
to.
the best.
I didn't really know her, and I didn't want you guys to get hurt, and I didn't want to start any trouble. But when I got back to Greylock, I got to know her a little bit better and trust her more than I did before. When I saw what was going on, and I wanted to help. So that's when I started to spy for Kat, but not on you.
So what did you see was going on that inspired this sense of civic duty?
When people were dying. Like, people were dying and nobody knew what to do. And Orem was here, and then there was that whole thing with the castle and with her grace and with High Priestess Bowen, and
Oh, all that
you
stuff.
just, yeah. And people are getting better, they're recovering, but it's still not right. It's just, I thought I wanted to sit and read about all of this and be useful by learning things, but then I decided that maybe I should be actively useful instead. So I went to the captain, and she asked me to look into things for her.
So that being the case, why do you want to just hang out here looking through microscopes at bugs and shit when we're here to rescue you and take you to a life of adventure and doing stuff for the greater good and all that shit?
Because here I'm useful.
To
Hear
who?
things here. And he actually like gets a fairly nasty look on his face. He doesn't know where you are, so he can't direct it at you specifically, but he looks genuinely angry.
As he should.
What do you mean? Okay, first of all, I don't look at bugs. And secondly, Kat wouldn't know half the things she does about that encampment if it weren't for me.
So you're still in contact with her?
Does he have that ring on,
I
by the way,
was.
that we kept seeing?
He has several rings on. Again, he is dressed as a noble, so he actually has multiple pieces of jewelry on. Who remembers what Kat said her ring looked like?
Didn't Lana see it? I thought.
I saw it. With
Wasn't it
my
like a red
eyes.
stone?
Yep. Yes, you did see it with your eyes.
You had
Yes.
it gold with red stone. There we go. Thank you, notes.
Yep. He does. He has one of the rings is a fairly sizable man's ring. It's actually too big for him as well, with a red stone in it. He does wear that.
Oh, you can't tell, but I'm pointing at the ring on your second finger there.
What about it?
How you were in contact with her?
This? No. It's hers, though.
What's it
What is
do?
it?
Lie under oath?
It's a shield. Yes.
Nice.
Well,
It
what kind of
keeps
shield?
you safe. You can't be seen. You can't be spied on. People can't crawl into your head.
We need
Oh.
to buy a whole bunch of those, guys.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
very
we do.
useful.
So, okay, if you've answered my question, I didn't hear. Who are you useful to?
Oh, God.
Silent. Are you deaf?
Maybe. Like, if you answered, I honestly didn't hear.
He's been spying for Cat, and you sold a cat.
But
All the information about Orem, all the information she has about the Conclave, all the information she has about those shipments, all of it came from me. You
Right.
said
that was in the past, though. I'm talking right now. She's in prison right now.
I am aware of that.
So who are you helping right now?
I'm trying to help her.
How?
Alchemists are few and far between, you know. Doing
Oh,
my
is that
best.
what you are now?
No. Track down a way to help her get her senses back. But I've sent her all of my notes, and I can't get them back. So I'm
are
trying
they?
to recreate them as best I can.
How did you send them to her?
I drew her pictures of bugs.
Oh.
Isn't that the book that the others are trying to decode?
That's one of them, yeah.
Different one.
They found in the pictures had messages that they're trying to decode.
So these pictures have formulas for alchemical things that can be used to help Cat?
They have information for Cat. Things that I have found, ingredients that are being shipped, names, places, things like that.
Well, they're not doing much good to Cat, but I think we have some of these books. So if you come with us, you could help us decode them, or you could just tell them what they say, even better. And then once we've got all this sorted out, we could, you could come with us on the boat and
Come with you on the boat.
yeah, we're going to be
Where-
like possibly the Forge Islands.
I just can't head off to the Forge Islands.
Why not?
Is that where we're supposed to go?
I don't know. Apparently that's where Island thinks you're going.
Okay.
I have responsibilities here. I have to make sure the captain gets out. I have to make sure this information gets to somebody who can use it before he hurts other people. I can tell you what I know if you have another piece of paper. You can't, and he puts a hand on the small stack that he has. You can't have any more of mine. They ration it.
I will do some paper. I'm sure I carry a piece of gold.
Okay.
It's my bag. There, it's got to be in there.
I'm sure you have paper in your bag. You have everything else. So he writes it down. I don't want to write too much because I don't know who will read this. But there's a shipment of herbs in odd quantities going to a man by this name. He is in the Orem camp. He is their chief medical officer. The rest of the information is in Kat's office.
So we're
You'll have to
breaking
get it from her.
departure order next.
Time to go talk to Stanley.
Yeah.
So what will this accomplish if we gather all this information exactly? That
I think he's poisoning her.
who?
We
I
all
say
of
with
us.
complete
This-
confidence that he is.
Okay. This
The man
medical
from Orem.
officer,
Okay.
the man from Orem, if he's not poisoning her directly, he might be planning to poison the city.
Okay.
I'm not an expert on herbs, but the shipments that have been coming in are strange. The amounts and the contents. And again, it's not my area. I've been trying to piece it together as best I can, but I don't have access to the libraries of Daralai anymore. So it's hard. But yeah, these herbs have properties that could be potentially poisonous. And I don't know who he's planning on using it on or when. I'm just afraid she got too close because of what I did. And then she protected me and got herself locked up. She couldn't lie.
Because of what you did?
Because I have her ring.
Ah. I see.
Which I suppose I don't need anymore.
No, you probably do. You should probably maybe hang on to that. Although, she probably needs it more.
They're not going to let her have
You
a
think you
golden
could-
red ring in jail.
No, but if we, yeah.
It turns invisible somehow. I haven't figured out how yet,
Oh,
but it does.
then
Yeah,
maybe.
She wouldn't have given you the vision if she didn't want you to get it for her, probably.
You're
And
not
if it
wrong.
turns invisible, it shouldn't be that hard to get it to her.
I'm sure if Lily and I knock our heads together for long enough, we can maybe figure that out. And you're an artificer. Who am I kidding? We can do it.
Yeah.
So he'll take it off and he'll slide it across the desk, past his tray, and his befouled biscuit stack. I can't see you, so I can't say it was good to see you, but it's good to hear your voices again, at least.
So you're okay just staying here?
I don't know if I'm okay with anything. Leaving with the captain still locked up.
Well, we're on that. So, keep an ear to the papers. You'll hear how that goes in a day or two.
Well, I'm going to the city tomorrow, I think. Rowlack is taking me.
Who?
My brother.
It's not the charmer outside?
It's not the term I would have applied, but yes. He represents the political wing of my family now that my father has officially retired.
Oh, didn't you say that your brothers were jerks?
I did.
Well, I'll give him the name of the inn where we're staying, and I'll say, swing by there, and I'll make his life a little bit uncomfortable for you.
You want to beat up my bigger brother?
Well, I probably won't beat him up. I'll figure something out.
We can do worse.
Yeah.
Kind of laughs and runs a hand through his bed head. Yeah. That does sound like fun. But I guess we'll see. It's nice that you're still saying it at the old inn, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry my book about you didn't sell better. Guess I'm not quite the writer I thought I was.
Well, I mean, you take really good notes, though. I think that if you came along with us, you and Lana could collaborate and come up with something really special.
Davynn, Quit pushing him.
We'll see.
Sorry.
Silent.
Silent. We knew who you
I was
are.
reading the chat, so
I know. I was too. We know who you meant. Perhaps when all this is said and done, I can travel. But you know I'm a lord now. Or, well, I guess I always was, but like official.
Why did your dad die?
No.
retired.
Oh,
No, he retired.
I didn't know
Just
you could
some-
retire from being a lord.
He retired from public life. So I guess, you know, if I were to travel with you, I would have certain expectations. I have a level of, you know, maintenance now.
You can't
I
see
will-
it, but
I'll
I'm
need a
rolling my
servant.
eyes.
See, that shows what you know. I can absolutely see it in my head. I'll need a manservant, bodyguard.
You
My
need
life's
your
very
own Gale?
important, you know. I'll need my own gal. I'm just forewarning you. I'll need my own cabin.
All right, well, we'll be going now.
Aww.
You want a hug for the road, or
I can't see you. How do I know it's you and not Xylund?
Because she won't squeeze your butt.
I will hug him, and while I do so, hit him with another, just like balance biscuit on his head. That's how he knows
Just
it's me.
pop a biscuit. Okay. So he's starting to pick his biscuits up. Let me let you guys out. Just be careful on the way out. I assume you have a way out.
Yeah,
Or
we
do I
a
have
movable
to?
horse on your roof?
I meant outside. He stops first. He stops himself mid-sentence and then just shakes his head and keeps going. I meant into the grounds. Do I need to take an evening constitutional?
I mean, any open window will do the trick. I think we have one in the room you pulled Xylund out of.
It's my mother's library. Don't touch anything in there. And he wags a general finger through the air. He doesn't know where anybody is. Touch nothing.
Never.
Well, are you planning to go to see the captain again?
Yeah, we're going to give her this ring.
Okay. Then wait a moment. He goes back to his desk, rifles through his keys, unlocks one of the drawers further down. He's got like 8 keys on this ring. He's become a little paranoid. And he takes out a sheaf of drawings, new drawings. And he hands them to the thin air. He sort of holds them out. If you can get these to her, please do. If not, maybe someone else can help. I don't know anyone who's as good at deciphering cryptics as she is, but maybe someone can.
We have a crack team who's on the case.
I see. Well, that's
Team
good to
Code
know.
Breakers.
Code breakers. That's good. I'm glad you all stopped by. He unlocks the door that leads to the hall. Just be careful, and next time you can just knock if you want.
The arms all over the place, man.
Not gonna hurt you.
Yet.
You're just here to make sure that the captain doesn't show up. He opens it up for you.
All right.
And you can hear the guards kind of walk towards the open door. They're not subtle.
Guess we sneak out.
All right, sneak.
This can only go well.
Sneak.
Ha
Aha!
Does he get
God for the advantage.
Does he get
He does
Yeah,
get advantage.
I
He
get
does.
advantage, yeah.
He does. He does. It's okay. He does.
I'm even stealthier than Lana.
Just
like the
this
wind.
one time. So you guys can make your way back out the way you came. Get back on your magical horse and hit the dusty trail back to the wonderful city of Greylock, where everyone else has been hunkered down, doing shit, having conversations, and trying to decipher stuff.
Some of those conversations didn't make the greatest sense because of distraction.
Well, that's the way it goes. Don't put that on. That'll be in my head all day. Oh my gosh.
Mute.
All right. So we gather back at the inn.
I gotta take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah. I
That's
do have
gonna
a
take a quick break.
quick question. With the
Yeah.
magnifying glass,
Uh-huh.
do we still need to enlarge the book in order to be able to copy the hidden text?
With the magnifying glass that you have, it would help you if you enlarged it. You wouldn't necessarily have to in order to transcribe it.
Okay. So
It would be a heck of a lot easier with the enlarged spell, but
So I think the idea is, and Michael, of course, can chime in if he disagrees. I think the idea was if we could, he could enlarge if he wants to, but Davynn would transcribe and Lily would decode to try and make it go a bit faster.
That tracks.
Since he can only do it for 9 minutes in total, he can enlarge it if he wants to, but if not, that way we get more than 9 minutes of work out of the night.
okay. So you spend a few hours transcribing the coded information.
Lily, who cracked the code, decoding it.
After a fashion. Yes, it will take you some time.
Mm-hmm.
At least you can do it now with the magnifying glass.
But yeah, you can see it better, definitely. It's a lot easier than having to recast, enlarge over and over and over again. And to look at all those.
Yeah.
Oh, the drawings? Yeah.
And hopefully they got the name of the bug book at least, so that we can grab that too. Because
Just buy every book by Gale.
every single one.
Okay. Well, he's only written the one.
Yeah, because Lily's not an expert in alchemy, but she should at least be able to figure out what's going on.
Well, yeah. Again, you're still in the midst of actually decoding without spell help, so that will take some time. For the most part, it seems like what Gale was sending was very much what he explained to Xylund and Lana. He's sending, some of it is very specifically measurements. You can glean that pretty easily. What exactly is being sent, you'll have to decode. Some of it seems to be coming out of Lorehold, but other shipments are coming by sea. So until you have a better grasp over what they're saying, what they might be.
Yeah. We're also looking for anything on the conclave that he may have sent Cat. I think that's definitely one of the more pertinent bits. I know it's going to take time because decoding is slow and we have to know what the things being spoken about, but you
can do a check if you want.
What kind of check are we talking here?
To decode the cipher?
I thought we did that last session.
These are new ciphers, though.
Oh, different ciphers. Fun.
Yes.
Sure. What was it again?
It's the
Take an
intelligence check.
inspiration.
Straight
You
into
got that?
Okay. Let me just make sure. Whoops, that's not what I meant. Oh, well, that's nifty. Does that help at all?
Well, that's what we're doing. You can create ciphers, but you have to roll.
I don't need it.
There you go.
Look at you go.
I was going to say, you
And
still
you
have
can
to
roll
roll
inspiration.
to crack somebody else's.
Do I need to roll inspiration?
It's up
Yes.
to you.
Yes. We
Do
want,
it.
we want to beat
Clear a
DC
30.
30.
What is it? A D8?
It's a D10.
D10? Oh shit. Well,
Hey, very nice.
I just
Lily
Wow.
is
look at it.
on fire tonight.
Lily
I look
is
at it and I know what it says.
she's a dog with a bone. All right. So decrypting this section of ciphers, you're able to get, and I will put these in chat because you get quite a bit of information. The lists of herbs that are coming through.
This will be really good information to share with everybody tomorrow. Just be like, hey, Orem's getting like all these herbs. We're not exactly sure what they're supposed to do, but
Well, Lily might be able to shed light on what they do as well, because
Right.
it's more her wheelhouse than Gale's.
Okay. So those 4 herbs are the ones that are being basically brought in through the various locations. Spoolwood is the one that's coming through Loreholt,
Mm-hmm.
and the others are coming from overseas, most likely through Freyhaven. The other big thing that you're able to glean out of your 35 there is the High Protector himself has made several of these orders. It was paid for with Realness cash, and at least one shipment was accompanied by Realness Temple Guard.
Mm.
So they are aware of them.
And what do I know about these herbs, especially since I literally just bought a book on...
Yes, you literally just bought a book on herbs. Yes, on
I didn't realize that
reagents.
this would actually be useful for the party.
Exactly. No, yeah, this was perfect timing. You just bought a book on reagents, so just roll another intelligence check for me
Sure.
with
I should-
advantage.
Well, I still should have saved that inspiration.
No, it'll be fine. This is a much lower DC. Much lower than trying to break Cat's decryption. These herbs are strange in that they're very rarely used together. Garget is a sedative. Coriodalis has the effect of breaking curses and other deep magical effects that are considered stubborn. It's sometimes used in wild magic zones. It's only grown in wild magic zones because magic tends to be more potent there. Yes, you're potent. Go ahead.
Would that break the paralysis stuff that the elves would shoot at us as well?
It might. Warden root is the most common antidote simply because it's what the poison is made out of. But Coriodalis has been used successfully to break other deep paralysis and petrification spells. So it does have some uses in that it's just not as effective.
Gotcha. It's more of like a catch-all than like a specific...
Yeah, it's sort of an enhancer. It's a catalyst more than anything. By itself, it doesn't do a whole lot, but it can push other treatments to be more effective against high-level magic.
Okay.
Spoolwood is sort of it's like the base. It keeps things stable because Coriodalis happens to be something that has a tendency to explode when not used properly.
Mm-hmm.
And Briarwort is the weird one because Briarwort is used to keep patients who are ill from throwing up. I'm trying to think of what the medical term is, but it reduces... Yeah, it's anti-nausea. I know there's a more specific medical term for it, but yeah, basically, it's anti-nausea. It's designed to reduce fevers, to keep down inflammation. It's an anti-inflammatory, anti-nausea med. That's actually pretty common, but it's only used in small doses because it tends to be toxic. And the levels, the amounts of Briarwort that are being brought in is pretty high.
Mm. So one thing I'm getting is like even Garget could be bad in high doses because high doses of sedatives are bad. Briarwort could be used as a straight up poison, but it could also be used to prevent somebody from regurgitating. Like if they were fed a potion,
that might make them sick. Yeah.
it would prevent them from puking it back up to flush it from their system.
Right. Right. Yeah, all of these herbs in small doses would be considered safe, with the exception of Cordalis, just because it has tendency to explode. But yeah, in high qualities and when mixed together, they could be lethal, but they are very commonly used in alchemical potions and in standard medicine as well, in non-magical medical preparations. It's just the amount of this stuff that's being brought through that Gale seemed to be antiemetic. Yes, thank you. I was trying to think of what it is, but I couldn't think of a mesis.
I'd heard it out.
Don't. That's cheating. You can't use the new sphere.
Another question, Erie. Cordalis specifically. Could Lily theorize how, if that would have because you know how some medications, depending on who you are, could react differently based off of a whole bunch of different things. Could Lily theorize if Cordalis may have a different effect on will workers due to their highly magical nature?
That would be difficult because will workers aren't magical.
Oh.
There's a difference between the inherent gifts that allow someone to wield magic and the inherent gifts that allow someone to be a psionicist. The Cordalis does react differently when administered to magical and non-magical people, as well as magical and non-magical general effects. Someone who's poisoned because they've eaten, Worden root, for example, that is a non-magical individual, will react differently to Cordalis than a mage who's poisoned by Worden root.
Makes sense.
So yeah, Cordalis specifically does react differently to magical and non-magical people. How it would react with a will worker, not known. Will workers are not they're not a significant part of the population, and there hasn't been enough study of them, either culturally or physically, to know how it would react with them, since they're not specifically magical creatures.
Okay. So I'll relay all this to the party, however much of them has gathered at this point. I'll relay this to all of this to the party, including her suspicions that Briarwort could be used both as a poison, but also to prevent people from puking up something else that they were fed, either forcefully or subtly. What would all of these four together make?
See, that's why it's weird, because there is no, according to the indication that you get from Gale's notes, his coded messages, as far as he knows, and again, he's not necessarily an alchemist, as far as he knows or as he's been able to research, there is no known medical purpose for all four of these items together. There is no drug, there is no concoction, there is no treatment that would use all four of these at the same time, especially in the amounts that are being asked for.
Yeah. And didn't we learn from Hildreth that they have a Rildis doctor, not a Rildis doctor, but an Orem doctor?
Yes.
Yep.
The one that
What a good idea.
So the fact that they could be like, oh, we're using this for the helper or whatever, it's just there's way too much for a single person to ever need in their lifetime, basically, right?
Yeah, they're huge amounts. Talking pounds and pounds of each herb, when only one would ever be administered in a pinch or two, usually mixed with something else. They're all legitimate medicines, but not in the quantities that are being shipped in.
With that knowledge, with the knowledge of about the quantities that would be used and the knowledge from Gale's notes about the quantities being imported, about how large of an area would that affect if they were trying to do, if they were trying to, say, poison a large group of people? how many would the size of these shipments affect?
Well, again, difficult to tell because each of these could be lethal on its own with differing effects. But with the amounts that Gale seems to be talking about here, you could wipe out maybe not an entire city, but you could very easily take out a district. You could take out the castle. You could take out the conclave. You could take out a neighborhood. With all four mixed together, it's difficult to tell because that would be a potentially, the lethality could be magnified however much, depending on what concoction you came up with.
What if you weren't trying to kill them? What if you were trying to use I don't know exactly how the Cordalis would fit into this, but essentially create a large-scale sedative that people couldn't puke back up because of the Briarwort.
Well, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. He would definitely have enough of the sedative to knock out an entire city. Like he could knock out an army with what he's got. Whether it depends on how well the antiemetic played with it and what it did to the potency of the sedative drug. Since these don't usually get worked with together, it's difficult to anticipate what the effects would be, if it would make the sedative more powerful or less powerful to mix it with Briarwort,
Okay.
because there's no, like I said, there's no scientific standing, there's no base standing for how they interact with each other. So that would be an experiment.
I mean, I could experiment with that.
Yeah, well, that appears to be what Gale is leaning into here. He thinks that there's that this alchemist, this medical officer, whomever he might be, his fear is that he is trying to rework these properties into a way that could be lethal. But he doesn't understand. He doesn't have the tools to understand it himself. He's not medically trained.
Yeah, and because what I'm thinking is, even if they're not trying to wipe out a portion of the city, they may be. They if we're assuming something malicious, they may not be trying to wipe out a portion of the city. And this is, I'm speaking in Nex's voice, but this is Lily theorizing to the entire group.
Right.
It's a lot easier to take over even a fortified city if nobody can actually get up to stop your army from marching in.
Or all you need to do is be like, see, look, this area of town is still suffering. You guys aren't doing shit, and let inner city turmoil cause riots and crap, which makes it easier as well. Yeah.
That just doesn't really explain what the Cordalis is for, unless they're also trying to make explosives. Like maybe not all four are getting combined together, but Cordalis could be used to,
Greylock is also a hella magical city, so if they do get in fights, or if the city does fight back, because Iyith said that it breaks curses, old curses,
magical effects, so it could be used to suppress the city as well,
or their soldiers going in. We're thinking this could be used to affect the city itself. But all these have medicinal purposes. They could just be stockpiling supplies to invade as well.
Something to protect their army with. She did. Iyith also did say that all of these ingredients together could be enough to also affect an army. I don't know what the sedative part would be for, but even if we're saying that not all of them go together, maybe they could be going to different things. It doesn't look good in these quantities no matter what.
Yeah. And I don't think right now, I think we got as much information as we need, guessing it could be used for this, it could be used for this. It's good to have those in mind. We might not be going down the right path thinking that until we get more information.
I think we also need to keep decoding, see what more we can find about both Aurum and the Conclave, and whatever is happening with Kat that's had her senses stolen or suppressed or made her lose them. For all we know, it could be the same thing that's affecting Nisali with the Seven Sisters not talking to her.
Oh.
And those alchemical notes in that book on bugs could be helpful in figuring out what's going on with that.
Yeah, we definitely need to get more information. And we need to learn about the ring that we got given.
I think Xylund and Lana can probably figure that out. If they need help, Lily can offer it, but I think right now she needs to get as much information as she can from these various reports. Like we need to know what's going on here.
I think while we're trying to mess with the ring in the book, we should send someone to try to get into Kat's office to poke around there before the meeting, ideally.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a lot of pushback on that idea.
No, I think it's a good idea.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
just deep thinking. Like that's not a bad idea if we can get access, especially if we can find the other reports.
Well, we just talk to Stanley and be like, hey, man, like, Kat still pays your wages. Can you get us into her office, please?
So decoding reports, figuring out the ring, see if we can get information from Kat's office. Right now, we have enough to cause concern, but the fact that the High Protector authorized made several of these orders is also concerning.
Yeah, which is what we need to bring attention to in the
in the lunch tomorrow. So
it's afternoon tea.
Yeah, we're having afternoon tea, apparently.
sorry.
We also we need to go out and buy tea. We can't just expect them to be there and not have anything. God, we also need biscuits.
Isn't Keller Ellenville providing the tea?
No,
She said she would host it. Yeah, she said she would host a lunch. So you can invite whomever you want. So I really doubt they would have you all over and not feed you. But if you want to bring tea, you can bring tea.
I have a question, Erie, more of a magical spell question. If I have the paper and the ink, and I know exactly, like, because I've been making all these notes, like, as I'm decoding, I'm also making all these notes. If I have the paper and the ink, can I use Fabricate? And I'll put it in chat so you can read it.
Thank you.
Come on. What are you doing? Stupid.
Roll20 is not being...
Okay. Could I use that to make copies of my notes? Possibly?
No, because it's really for changing things from raw into finished.
Okay.
So
what about that? just making copies, and I can also help by making other copies.
Well, it's a mindless task.
Yeah, it's very mindless.
So, well, no, that's the opposite. It can only do mindless tasks, which I don't think copying would be a mindless task. Like, it can understand simple commands, but I'm not sure if it's literate.
Because I'm trying to find a way to make this go faster so that like I can make copies as need be.
Just have Davynn cast haste on you.
Technically could work.
Well, for like a minute,
That'd be
and then she'd be really tired.
Then you'd have to change shifts.
Man, like I think the only other thing I have that could potentially work would be animate object, and I don't even know if that would work. Man, you'd think magic would give you a copy spell.
I feel like that would be a first level wizard spell, like if it was an actual
One of the first things they do, yeah.
Okay, well, in that case, I'll just get to work on making several copies of these notes, one for Kern, and then a few copies that he can hand to people at his afternoon tea so that he can be like, okay, we don't know exactly what's going on, but we know that this is worrying.
Yeah. Just make a, and then I'll have Davynn cast enlarge on all the notes.
Yeah.
That works.
It'll just be a big PowerPoint. It'll be great.
So, in conclusion, or I'm bad, my salary good. Thank you for coming to my presentation.
Yeah, this
I'll
is
Would you
my
like to
TED
buy a
Talk.
timeshare? No.
So I'll at least make 3 copies of everything,
Okay.
including all of our ideas on, because educated person here. Theories might not be facts, but they can at least be like, these are valid concerns
Mhm.
on the whole. If Kat is having her senses suppressed, it could be the same thing that's happening with Natalia and the Seven Sisters. These herbs are very concerning in these quantities. These are the things that could potentially be used for. The High Protector made a lot of these orders. Basically, everything we've theorized and everything we've definitively uncovered, basically what all these herbs do and what they can do when combined, kind of thing. Like all those notes, all of what we found getting copied 3 times, 1 for Kern so he can reference, and 2 to be passed around amongst the people that attend. If they want to do the whole enlarge reduce for PowerPoint on one of them and only have one passed around, that's fine. But I think they should at least have 1 copy that they can look at and pass around, just in case the PowerPoint presentation goes a little too fast.
All right. Okay.
So
All right.
that's what Lily will do with the rest of the.
Yeah, Lily has her work. Xylund and Lana return from their trip to Hartney Manor in all their horsey and invisible glory
Mhm.
to go ahead and regroup, share whatever information you wish to share, and formulate a plan going forward.
With the exception of the Weslar Hightower, I think we and the fact that we need to start looking for bug books by Gale, I think we have largely the same information.
Okay. So you've got your invitation sent out for your high tea tomorrow
Yeah.
at Fevelar. What are you going to do with the ring?
With the what?
Oh,
Oh.
I'll cast Identify on it first. See if that gives me any idea how to make it go.
Okay. Casting as a ritual, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay. The ring is, at its heart, a ring of non-detection, but it is a little more than that as well. Oh. Okay. Final.
Sorry, I'm getting
Yeah.
called away.
No, you're fine. No,
Yeah.
no, we're almost done anyway. We'll see you next session.
Okay, yep, see you next week. Bye.
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 Yeah, the ring at its heart is a ring of non-detection. It will allow you to evade scrying as well as mental intrusion as you wish. It has no charges. It is either turned on or just turned off. You can use it to, it itself can become invisible once you've attuned to it. And that's just a mental command once you've aligned to it. It is a little strange in that the stone that's set within it seems to be a separate magical item. It's not part and parcel with the ring.
Can I cast Identify on the stone?
Oh, sure. You've got
I'll do
rituals,
that.
don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. The stone is a soul storing, a full one.
A soul stone?
Yeah, it
For
is a
storing souls.
a gemstone that has been specifically crafted to store the human soul, and this one has one in it.
Oh, fuck. Can I tell who?
Not with an identify, you can't.
How would I find out who's inside?
Well, I don't know. You might have to ask it.
So do I have to attune to the soul stone as well?
Mm-hmm.
Separately from the ring.
Well, no, you can just attune to the ring, and it'll work. but you have to wear it.
Okay, well, I'll start attuning to the ring, I guess.
Okay. So you hang out with the ring for a little bit, chat with it, make it your friend. Spend a nice quiet evening with the ring. And after a while, you do find you have the ability to make it go invisible if you want with a command.
Okay, I'll test that out.
Okay. And it
Can
does.
we pass it between people?
Yeah, it's still physical. Like Xylund can touch it and everything.
No,
and
like
he can pass it. Oh, you mean is it like locked to Xylund?
No, so like if he makes it invisible,
Mhm.
can he take it off and like pass it to somebody else?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Invisible?
Yeah, it's still tangible. Yeah, while invisible, he can still take it off. It stays invisible and he can hand it to somebody else until that person ends the effect. Which is probably how Kat got it to Gale to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the invisibility is static until it's turned off.
So I'll ask the ring who's inside the stone.
And you get a male voice that answers back, a very gentle male voice with kind of a little bit of laughter behind it. Another new person. I feel cheap being passed around so much.
Do I recognize the voice?
Mm-mm.
Who's this?
Well, this is my ring. Who are you?
I asked first.
I asked you first.
He just kind of laughs.
Well, I'm
Fair
Xylund.
enough. See, not hard. Welcome, Xylund. Call me Garvey.
Garvey?
Mm-hmm.
No offense, but that's not a very magical sounding name for a guy trapped in a ring. Are you there by choice, or are you like, what's going on with this?
This is my ring. This is where I belong.
So you like being in the ring?
It's okay.
How do you experience life in the ring? Are you just like can you sense anything outside the ring? Are you in this little self-contained world inside the ring?
I hear everything and see most things through you.
So you're seeing through my eyes right now.
Only if you want me to.
Why would I want you to?
I don't know.
Well, do you have like any advice you could give me? Like, do you have any expert knowledge that might pertain to my situation that would make me want to let you look through my eyes to get your take on things?
It's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? How can I assess your situation if I can't see your situation?
Can you talk to other people other than me?
Only you.
Were you ever like a real boy type of deal? Or have you always been in a ring?
I have not always been a ring.
What were you before?
I was a man.
Human man?
No,
Dragon Man.
What kind of man?
just a man. You ask a lot of questions.
Well,
That
I
was too
mean,
good.
Oh, no, I like it. I enjoy it. Can I ask you a question?
yeah, sure.
What happened to the boy before you?
Well, he's back where I left him. Back where you last saw him, probably. Did you talk to him too?
Of course, I talked to him.
What did
What
you talk
about-
about?
Well, the ring's owner. I would like very much to go back to her, if that is possible.
Yeah, well, that was the broad plan. Were you like another will worker?
In a way,
Were you an Amaskin?
no.
Were you a gnome?
He laughs. No.
Okay. So I'll say to the others, hey guys, this ring can talk.
Oh,
Fascinating.
His name's Garvey.
Everybody has a talking object now. I feel left out.
I don't have a
I
talking.
think Xylund just has 2 talking objects.
Yeah, I've got the screaming sword and now this guy, but
I guess I was counting Lana's painting friend as a talking object, which maybe is not the case because I shouldn't be thinking of a thing as an object, but that's okay.
Person isn't. Yeah.
well, if you feel left out, you can have Garvey.
Well,
I thought we were getting the
are
ring.
we getting that back?
Yeah,
to Cat?
he wants to go back to Cat, but I mean, someone's got to hold on to him until then. I don't mind if it's Davynn.
Yeah.
He's not very. I mean, he wants to look out of our eyes, which kind of creeps me out. So.
Okay.
Ask him what Cat used him for, if anything.
What did Cat use you for?
Cat.
Hmm?
I don't. What is cat?
Okay, what do you call your former owner?
The boy?
No,
Or
the
my-
one before. The one you wanted to go back to.
Ren.
Ren. How do you spell that?
Well, how do I spell it?
Sure.
Ren.
Okay. Who was Ren? Maybe we're thinking of a different person.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
Ren is a singular individual. I'm sure you wouldn't mistake her if you met her.
Does she smoke a lot of cigarettes?
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
Okay. So okay. So what did you do for Ren exactly?
Protected her as best I could.
Did you look through her eyes too?
No,
She didn't let you?
she asked me not to.
That sounds like her.
So what did you like when you're not looking through other people's eyes, you're just like stuck in this ring in the dark?
Listening.
Listening, right? Okay, well, I'll toss the ring to Davynn. You gotta attune to it, Davynn. It's kind of creeped me out.
Wait, why me? Maybe not this one. This
I-
one seems like yours.
I can take it because I'm going to go be visiting her tomorrow.
Okay. Well, you have to attune to it, and then you turn it invisible. And,
Okay.
All right,
and
perfect.
maybe Garvey will be more forthcoming with you than he is with me.
Okay.
Did we get a name on the bug book at all, or is it just bug book?
The one that Xylund was looking at?
No, the one that Davynn was saying held the alchemical things that Cat needed to get her senses back.
And when you say Davynn, you mean Gale.
Gale, yes. Sorry. Sorry.
Davynn is just everywhere. He is all people today. No. What Gale handed off wasn't a book. It was just a group of leaflets.
Were they about bugs?
There were pictures.
Pictures of bugs?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Then hopefully that contains what we need, because otherwise somebody's got to go find that book. Okay, that was all that Lily needed. Unless she wants to burn the midnight oil, she's probably not decoding anything else tonight, considering she's copying
All
notes.
right. So the ring is handed off to Kern?
Yeah.
All right.
Garvey
So
the
Kern-
ring.
Garvey the ring.
Yep, Garvey the ring. So after an eventful day of infiltration and information and meetings and loveliness and PowerPoints, we will go ahead and wrap up for today. Next session, we can execute plan lunch and then see if we can get you guys further into the story.